Alrighty. Hello, hello. Let's see. I think everything's going good. Alright, I am here after a long, not long, one day off, a long day off, a long vacation. No, not a vacation. I just wasn't feeling good on Monday, but I am here now, back at it. Another day of art and painting pictures with pixels. All right, what do I want to do? I don't know. Let's just paint. We're just gonna start. Actually, I did think of something. I like. It's funny because I always ramble about this, but the like the shape, the amount of shapes on the page, and then I end up like, even when I like the painting, like I really enjoy this painting, the amount of shapes on the page are like the same as they always are, which is not that many. I don't know. So it would be fun to just start kind of grayscale. So I'm just gonna actually, let's just darken this. And just jump straight in. Making shapes, maybe some small shapes, this, or some big shapes. I don't know. This is gonna be my big shape or small shapes. And then maybe some other shapes that are brighter, smaller, maybe some larger ones. I don't know. I'm just making shapes. I don't have any plan right now. Maybe I'll come up with something as I'm doing this. Just playing around with like how big are the shapes? Maybe they're that big, and maybe they're different sizes. And I'm just doing rectangles right now. Maybe I'll change that, though. I don't know. It's a fun way to start environments. But yeah, hope everyone's doing well. Also, my eyes are, like, blurry. I don't know why. I don't know if it's, like, dehydration or I have a smudge on my glasses. Maybe both. I, like, took a nap. Maybe I have goopy eyes. It's like it feels like I have something in my eyes, but I don't think I do. Because, I don't know, I'm just pretty sure I don't. Maybe my eyes aren't properly hydrating. Hopefully that won't affect staring at a screen for long periods of time with barely blinking. What could possibly go wrong? Seems like a recipe for not good eye health. I don't know. Anyway, maybe I'll have, instead of hydrate commands, which we do have, it'll be hydrate the eyes by blinking. Alright, I'm just gonna make some shapes. Push some colors. Maybe some lighter in the back. I mean, we could start simple light background. Start with silhouettes. Although I'm not sure I want to. I find whenever I start with silhouettes like this, it's nice for certain types of environments, but for other types it's not great. Like if you're doing looking downward views, it doesn't feel great because oftentimes the silhouettes aren't silhouette shaped. Like if you're trying to make a house silhouette, right? If you're looking down at a house, it's not always going to look like this, right? Because the top view of a house, right, might look like this, and that is a different shape, right? This is a very different shape looking downward than this, and so it's hard to be thinking like this when you're doing simple silhouettes, because the shapes are much more unique. They're not, you know, there's some patterns that you can learn and sort of after you've painted enough houses, you know, looking downward or whatever, but it's a lot harder for me, especially if you're doing like, you know, trees, and like, okay, well, a tree from above is like a circle, but like, you know, different types of trees might have slightly different silhouettes, and depending on how downward you're looking, but oftentimes it's not as easy as just like making an interesting silhouette in the background. So I find downward views so much harder because the shapes are just much more unique and complex, and yeah. Also, because this is me being back from streaming for a while, and I have, or from, first time this week, if there's anything weird with like audio or any of that, let me know. Or just anything. Even a suggestion, like, hey, I've been watching for a while and you say this a lot. It's very stupid. And I'm like, oh, that's good to know. You just never know. It's one of those things. It's kind of like an art critique, you know? Sometimes you just don't know what you don't know, or you don't know what's, something. And it's just nice to have someone point stuff out. But yeah. Weird. It's weird to miss a day of streaming, though. I'm not sure I like it. Hey, Legend Weaver, how's it going? Hello, hello. Hope you're doing well. How are you today? All right, let's put in some pops of color, maybe not even color, maybe bright spots where like the light's shining. So we get some light. And then, so there's some shadows. Maybe there's like, these could be things hanging, could be banners. Maybe it's like a market. We're above it a little bit. And these are some like tent cloths or something. I don't know. Maybe if they are, there's another layer up here as well. That could be kind of fun. Where we do like a second layer. Fox Alvarez, hello. Hello, hello. Hi, Joe. Hi, Fox. Hope you're doing well. I am back after a long time. Many, many hours of not streaming. A whole, I don't know how many hours. I'm not going to do the math, but it's been an extra 3 days. But yeah, I'm just jumping straight in. I'll be lurking. All right, happy lurking. Hope your day is going well. Hope your week was good so far. And as always, if you have anything you'd like to share, I know you're lurking, so you can ignore me. But if anybody has anything you'd like to share, feel free to share. I would always like to see what people are up to. Maybe little bits of color. You know what? Let's do some greens and just colorful colors in the back. So maybe some blues. That's a very blue-gray sky, but that'll work. Maybe more blues. I don't know. I'm just gonna plop in the colors, just lots of them at the start. White. Yeah, let's do that. Lots of color. Some color down here. I don't know what the color down here would be. Obviously we could have shadows, right? If you have a blue sky, you're going to have bluish shadows typically outside. But I'm just putting blue down here just because it's nice to balance out the colors by, if you're going to have something up above, it's nice to have balance out in the bottom. Kind of like that, like, the whole yin-yang thingy, how it's like, you got the, how does it look? Like this? And then you have the little bit of the thing over here and the little bit of the thing, right? It's like if you're gonna have a whole bunch of one color over here, balance it out by putting a little bit over here, right? Or if you're gonna have a whole bunch of a color over here, balance it out by putting a little bit over the, right? So it's like, we got a whole bunch of blue, but put a little bit of blue over here. I don't know what the blue's gonna be yet, but it's, design principle type thing. Like, just to balance it out. Don't put all of one color up here and then all of another color down here, because that's really boring. That's kind of what I'm doing. It's, even if I'm not totally sure what's going to be there, maybe it's people in blue with blue hair or blue shirts or something, something. I don't know. It's like placeholder color. I have a hunch I'm going to want to put some color down there. I think that's one of the nice things about painting like this is that you don't always have to know exactly what you're painting. Like sometimes it's more of like, oh, I know that there's some lighting in here. It's a blue light. So if I'm gonna have some blue shadows, so I can put some blue, like you can start painting stuff even when you're not really sure what it is. I don't know. That's how I think about it anyway. Okay, now I'm thinking if this is like a market or something, or maybe not a market. Maybe it's something like that. Maybe there's some light under here, like under these little tent things, you know, just poking through and like if this is the top of a tent or something, and then this is the top of another one, maybe you can see some light poking up through here. Little bits of something. I don't know. And then maybe some back here. I'm tempted to just jump straight in and do like a color dodge, but I'm not completely convinced that's a good idea. We could try it and see what it looks like, but everything's very saturated already. So if I do go color dodge, yeah, it's gonna look not great, I think. I don't know. Maybe it's not bad. Hmm. I don't know. I don't think we need it. We can pretty much just hand paint it. And that's something that I need to do more practice on that, where like because I feel like I'm capable of painting, let's say well, definitely sunsets, but like you know, I'm capable of painting sunsets, for example, without color dodge, but I will still use it for painting sunsets because it's such a nice and convenient way of like quickly getting colors down. But there are some things that I just like certain lighting effects and setting up my scene in certain ways that I don't do by hand very much, which feels like it ends up leading to like the same looks because I'm doing like I don't know, overlay layers and stuff and color dodge can be a little bit formulaic. Like if you use enough of them, it'll push the colors towards very saturated. And so over time, you might lose some of these more, you know, grayish colors that will be in your painting. Um, I don't know. I find it to be probably not the best habit to like over rely on overlay layers and stuff. Like I think they're nice in the early stages, but I think they can get a little bit out of control and they can shift your palette towards something that maybe you didn't actually feel like you were totally in control of. I don't know. I feel like I kind of want to rein in. Is that the word? Rein in some control. I don't know if that's what I'm trying to say, but I'd like to regain some control from, you know, like some of the more complex tools that do multiple things at once. Yeah, make little tents. That's what these are. Little tents back here. I don't know if it's gonna look like that or not, but maybe let's see. And then the light could be on this side. Like that. Some shapes here. Now I'm starting to try, play around with shape. Now that I kind of have an idea of sort of what I want, it's much easier to actually paint the thing. This is very similar to the puzzle painting that I'm working on, although I say working on, but I haven't worked on it in a while. It's almost finished, but I'm not finished, unfortunately. But I like this. I like that this is we're getting some sort of vision here. Some colors. Maybe some of this like white color up here. We can put some of the brighter stuff back here. That could work. Trying to because I know sometimes when you have like bright colors, if you just put them in your painting, it'll look good. And so I want to try to make sure I have a fairly big range of values. It doesn't need to be the full range. Something like that could work. I'm also doing something a little different today. I'm actually recording the time-lapse. I mean, obviously I'm recording because I'm streaming, but I have the time-lapse feature enabled, which I don't always do. You guys can't see that right now. But this, so if I go up here, I haven't been using it because it makes the file size absurd, and then as the stream goes on and it tries to autosave, it takes like 40 minutes, no, not 40 minutes, like 40 seconds, and then there's occasionally it'll like lag my computer and lag stream. I don't think it's gonna do that today. I'm taking a risk, but I am gonna try to save the time lapses because do I dare say it? Because of social media, I feel like I should post, not need to, but I want to. I want to post time lapses more of my painting process. I think it can be interesting, especially this stuff where, it's just very quick sketches coming not to life, but you know what I mean, to appearing out of nowhere. Anyway, there's the start of a thumbnail. So it would be kind of cool to have something to show like that. Like if I'm going to be spending the time painting for 4 hours or whatever, I might as well get some additional, I hate the term content, but, maybe not, I don't hate it. It's just, it maybe is not quite the nicest term, but, might as well get some extra content out of it. Hey, Skittle, how's it going? Howdy, howdy. I return from I don't know what you want to call it, just from not being here. Hope you're doing well, Skittle. Also, I made a discovery today about tea. Well, not really about tea, but about my tea, or about water. So they did some like water heater pump replacement or something, and the temperature is cranked so high that I'm pretty sure I could just make tea out of the tap without ever like heating it up first, because it's that hot. It may not be great for black tea, because I think you're supposed to like have near boiling water for black tea, and I don't think it's quite that hot, but it's so hot that I'm like, certainly like a green tea or something, I could absolutely make tea without actually heating up the water, just by turning on the hot water tap. Like it was kind of wild. It's like, you could definitely burn yourself if you're not careful. But anyway. Some cold, hard content. Yes, exactly. That's what I'm here for. The content. No. I don't know. I've heard people rant about calling art content and how it's like a gross word. I don't know if I actually agree with that, but I will say, knowing that other people don't like that word makes me not want to use it. Because, like, why use words that annoy people when I could just not annoy people? But yeah. Hope you're doing well, Skittle. Doing good. Skittle, what have you been... Are you still working on the red, green, blue paintings? Is that what you're still doing? And I say still, not in a bad way. We should make our own word up for the stuff we make. I don't think that's how language works, right? You could, but no one else would know what you're talking. I call them stream paintings, just as like one word, like a stream paint, which no one ever knows what that means. I've even had people ask me on social media, what's a stream paint? It's like, it's just a thing I do on stream. It's not quite a sketch. It's not a finished work. Like, it's weird to call a 4-hour painting that I do on stream a sketch, but I kind of want to, because in my mind, that's what it is. Like, it's not a finished work. It is just an idea, a little bit refined, but it's still a sketch. But like I feel gross calling it a sketch because I spent like anywhere from 2 to 4 hours on it, you know? So it's, and I know it's sketches aren't determined by the length of time you spend on something. That's not how that works because you know if your normal painting process takes 100 hours, then you know what's 4 hours. But it's more about the stage and so in that sense I don't mind calling it that. But I've heard people ramble about other people calling things sketches, and it's like, well, I don't want to be one of those people who call a 4 hour painting a sketch. And so I always feel weird about like, what do I call my own work? Is it a sketch? Is it a, it's not a doodle, right? Doodle is clearly less than a sketch. Um, I don't know. Like I'm always torn a little bit. Hey, Muffin! Hello. By the way, Muffin, I have prints. I have ordered some, although in hindsight, I probably didn't order all of the ones that people wanted. But I do know the city painting with like the sunsetty one. I do have that. There might have been another one though that you said you wanted that I didn't get. I don't remember. But if I don't have it, I don't have it, and it's not gonna happen for a while. But I do have some prints. So for sure, yeah, we have prints now. And I am, you know, I would actually be okay with ordering more, but yeah, for sure I have the ones with the sunset painting. For those who don't know, I'll bring it up on stream because it's I don't like name. I don't. I'm the worst brander. Yeah, person at branding. I am so bad at branding. Like my paintings are just like painting number one, painting number what where can I oh, I haven't updated anything yet. I'll you know what? I will try to do that before the weekend. This painting. So I do have this painting. It's more cropped like this though than it is like this because the prints are 4 by 6 inches and this is not, is closer to that. This is not 4 by 6 inches. So yeah, just a heads up. But yeah, I think I might have some of these. I'll have to double check. Actually, I think I got some of these. But anyway, I will have to do an update of which prints I have. I okay. Actually, I have some. Hold on, they're right here. Is that it? Okay, they're in a package. I haven't even opened them yet. Let me just open them right now. I don't remember if I got any of that one. I know I forgot one of them. Afterwards, after I had done the order, and I was like, oh my gosh, there was a print that I said I was gonna get an unboxing stream. Yeah. Well, I want to be careful because it has my address on it. Not that that's super secretive because I send things from here. So anyway, let me just thumb through. Okay, I do have them. Okay, yeah, they turned out, they look like prints. Anyway, they're just, you know, regular. They're not even, they look way more shiny here than they actually are. They're not shiny, they're matte. I mean, they have a sheen to them, but they're not shiny prints. But anyway, yeah, that's so I do have that one, and then I do have this one, and those were the main two that some people wanted, but this one looks a little darker than normal. I don't know if the color turned out good on that one. Anyway, whatever. But anyway, that's it's not bad. Oh, and then also this one, the faces in the thingy. That one. So anyway, I got a bunch of those. So a lot of the prints that people said that they wanted, but I didn't actually have or didn't know if I had. Now I have them. So yeah, this one for sure I have now. This one for sure I have, and this one, I think I have some of the others too, but just in smaller quantities. But anyway, so that's a thing. Oh, that's my desktop background. There we go. So yeah. That is a thing. I do have the prints. Looks good. Yeah, I needed them. I will hopefully update. I need to update Discord with the prints that I do have. Maybe I don't want to do like a quantity of how many I have because that requires me to count and take proper inventory, but also then I have to update it when I send them out, which is just one more thing I don't want to do. So I don't think I'm gonna do that. But I should try to keep better track of when I run out of things. Mostly I just try to keep all of the same print together so that as I get down to like the last one, I'm like, oh, I need to order prints. And if I never get down to the point where I only have one print left, then I will never need to order prints because that just means I'm not getting there. So that's kind of how I do it. I just try to always have more than one of a print, but obviously it doesn't always work that way. But yeah, it was long overdue. Long overdue. I don't know what I'm doing here. Just making shapes. Trying to make some interesting shapes. I don't know if they are interesting or not. But yeah, Muffin, hope you're doing well. If you've done any art lately, you should totally share it. I want to see what people have done lately. What's everyone been up to? Anything exciting in life happening? Any exciting goings-on? The way I asked it. Goings-on. Let's see. What's going on in my life? I mean, I didn't feel great on Monday, so I canceled stream on Monday. So that's something. I don't know if you'd call that exciting, but it was new. And then today, my nephew is having a birthday party, so I'm attending a birthday party for my nephew after stream. So that's fun. I'll probably eat some cake. What else is happening? Not much. Mostly doodling along lately. Weather has been super warm. You know what? Okay, it also has been extremely warm here, but it isn't. It's my building. My building is extremely warm. Like, I think it's just from all summer, it's been, in like the 90s or let me do the conversion here for non-Americans who have real weather units or units of measure. 90 F to C is 32. So it's been like consistently every day 32 plus temperature, right? So very hot every single day in the summer. And I live in like a brick building. I swear it's just like it is the overall temp. It's like the overall temperature of my building has increased. So even when it's cool in the summer or in the evenings, or if there's a day like today where it's not as hot, it's just so hot inside. It's like I can't cool it off. And so it's awful. And it's getting, I don't know, I don't think it's getting better. It's even when the temperature drops, it's still hot. So I don't know. It's been very warm here, and it makes it uncomfortable. Probably why I wasn't feeling good on Monday. Honestly, just bad sleep. Too many days of crap sleep. Not being able to like cool off or be well rested. Monday also I worked, so I was even worse sleep schedule. But yeah. Hopefully it cooled. I hope so too. I like the winter. I'm a big fan of cold temperatures. Or cooler temperatures, I should say. Actually, no, cold is good. I like to wear layers. I don't like short sleeve shirts. Even right now, I'm wearing a long sleeve shirt. It's a very thin shirt, so it's quite you know, it's actually not bad, especially with the fan on behind me. But it's yeah, I prefer some sort of layers. I don't know. I just feel weird. I don't. Yeah, it just isn't comfortable not wearing layers. But yeah, that sucks that it's been super warm lately for you. Sorry to hear that. Hopefully it cools down for you as well. Maybe it'll start raining. What if I do little swirly doodads here? Like, I don't know, like plants. Because there's, oh, you know what? Another painting, I don't know if it's stupid of me to get a print of this when it's an unfinished painting. Okay, have you ever, Skill, I don't know if you ever get prints of your own art. Actually, that's a question I don't know. Do you ever have prints of your own art, like physical copies? I don't know enough about, it's weird. I feel like I don't know enough about your like physical prints and stuff. How does that work? But anyway, the painting this one that I it's still a work in progress, but I got a print of this, and I don't know if that was a stupid choice because this is not a finished piece. But it's also at the same time more detailed and more finished than most of my work. So it's like, okay, well, why as well get a print of it? So I do actually have some prints of this, I believe. But yeah, it was fun when doing this though, because like some of these shapes in here, some of the swirly shapes and you know, just different shapes. Like that's something that I think is fun to inject into my own paintings or these other paintings. So even if I'm just doing like non-detailed stuff, just making the shapes be a little bit more intentional, you know? Maybe I take an extra 3 seconds to make the swirly shapes rather than just a bunch of little, you know, scraggly shapes. So there's maybe a little bit more attention to detail there. I don't have any of my own prints from the last few years. I have some old prints from another setup from over a decade ago. Okay, but you have had prints of your own. Because, yeah, it's definitely a weird feeling to, like, hold your own art. You should do that. You should just get even if it, you know, you have to spend, like, 30 bucks or something. I don't know how much it would cost. You should just get a big print of one of your pieces. I feel like there's something motivating about it. Like, it's to hold and be like, I made this thing. This thing came from my... I don't know. It's... Maybe I'm just... Like, maybe for some people that's not, like, a thrilling experience. But I've always... I mean, I don't really get that anymore with, like... Not with small prints. I don't really feel that. Because I've had small prints for a long time. But getting off, like, a one-off of your own work... I don't know, there is something nice about it. And it's been a while since I've done it. I'd like to do it again. Because I have a hunch getting, like, a... Especially if it's, like, a big detailed piece where you get, like, a larger size and you can see the detail. There's something... I don't know. There's something about it, man. I don't know what it is. Okay, this is a weird painting. I don't quite know what's going on here. Maybe we put some buildings or something. I don't know. Maybe some buildings, maybe some shapes. I'm sort of going like a shape back here that could be something, and then whatever shape that is, same thing over here, sort of repeating. But this one's going to be a little closer. Now I don't want to put another big one over here, because compositionally that just makes the goalpost thing. So we could do like smaller shapes over here, and maybe medium shapes. Good old goalposts. You know what's funny? So I know that I don't know where I started calling things like goalpost competitions. I swear that I got it from Zillustrator because I'm pretty sure I've heard him talk about it. And it's been one of those things where once you notice you're doing a thing, you can't stop doing it, or you can't stop noticing that you're doing it. Where like, you know, always framing your scene, just like big rock in the corner, you know, like two big foreground elements, right? That's what I mean by goalpost. Like, you know, maybe it's one big tree here, and then you put like a rock here or something, right? Where you're basically just constant like foreground elements to frame the scene. And it's not you know, it's not the end of the world. It's not a big deal, but it's one of those things where you don't have to frame every painting that way. And anyway, I'm pretty sure I had heard Zillustrator say it, but I brought it up to him one day, and I'm like, "Isn't it you who mentioned that?" And he's like, I've never heard that." I'm like, I don't know where I got it from then, because I definitely got it from someone, and I swore it was from him, and he swore it wasn't him. So I don't know. I have no idea where I got it from. He said he never said it. So I don't know. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was him. I think he didn't remember. I don't know. But I might just be attributing it to someone who didn't say it, so now I have no idea. Your memories have maybe been influenced. That's the thing. Like, I don't even know anymore. I don't know what to think. Am I going insane? You are an influencer. Oh my goodness. An official influencer. Do I get like a badge? Like a YouTube plaque for being an official influencer? You know what's funny? It's funny to even say that, but at the same time, like, you and me or anyone who spends time, I mean, really, if you spend time around any other people, you will influence people. And it's kind of a stupid term to like, I'm an influencer, but like, well, yeah, if you're interacting with people a lot and, you know, you're teaching, you know, if you're doing any sort of educating, you're certainly influencing. I don't know. I feel like there is a certain, with streaming anyway. I mean, it's a nice reminder that like, hey, you actually can influence people, and maybe you should then take it upon yourself to like, there is a sort of a responsibility there to like influence them in a good way, you know? Um, I don't know. What's the Spider-Man quote? With great power comes great responsibility. Hey, Reed Kreiner, how's it going? These are the same composition. Mostly. Kind of. I don't know what's going on in that painting. Let's move to another one. It goes, I got the prints in the mail this week. Thanks. Oh, glad it arrived. Glad that they arrived. Ooh, I like these colors. Look at those. Maybe we'll do an underwater scene. I don't know. But yeah, I'm always happy when the prints make it. I mean, I don't know if we've ever had prints that haven't made it when I've sent them, but it is, yeah. I haven't been sending out a lot of prints lately. There's really, like, not a lot of people have been redeeming them. I think just overall, like, I don't know if it's because summer months or maybe because I don't know, maybe stream quality's gone down. I don't know what it is. Could just be just random fluctuations on the internet. Or maybe there's a bunch of other really awesome streamers who are just like at the same time slot and people are just going there. I don't know what it is. But yeah, just a lot fewer people redeeming prints, and which, you know, is fine. It saves me money. So that's something. But it is an interesting thing to notice. I'm doing some sketching. Sketching with lines. I'm saving up channel points to bankrupt the print market. You could single-handedly crash the print market. You could absolutely do it. But that's why I have enough though. I think I have enough stock for you not to completely crash the print market. But yeah, if you ever want, you're more than welcome to. Don't feel bad about it. I mean, that's something that by me offering prints, that's included to people like you who have a lot of points. One day. Yeah, I mean, I'm happy to send you a print or 20. I mean, honestly, sending you 5 prints versus 1 print is the same, right? Because although I think at that many, for those who aren't aware of the situation, Skittle has like almost 2 million points at this point, over 1 million points. So he could redeem a lot of prints, and that is okay. He just means he lurks here a lot, or not even lurks, just is actually here a lot. Just 1.1 mil, it's basically 2 million. You can call it 2. Rounding way up. I don't know if I don't think that's how rounding works, but you know. Meanwhile, only enough for 2 prints. Hey, that's a lot. I mean, but yeah, as I was saying, if somebody ever redeems like anywhere from 1 to 5, like it's all the same for me. It literally doesn't affect anything because I just stick them in an envelope. I do be lurking. I appreciate it. Thanks for the lurk. By the way, how have you been, Mr. Skellen? Look at me do lines. I'm drawing lines. I say as I immediately move away from lines. Little shapes over here. So wait, these though, if these are that line, these could actually have a slight tilt. That way. How have you been? I've been okay. I took Monday off. I wasn't feeling great. I wasn't like sick, really. I don't know. I think it's just bad sleep quality for long periods of time. I worked. I think the day before my sleep schedule got so messed up that when I took a nap when I got home from work, and I woke up from my nap. I must have been on like 3 hours of sleep in the last like 48 hours or something. That's how bad my sleep schedule was. And I woke up to my alarm about 40 minutes before stream, and I'm like, oh, I am not, like, I have to get sleep. I just felt so crappy. I'm like, I gotta go back to bed. So that's what I did. I just got on. I was like, I'm canceling stream, and then I went back to sleep. I felt so crappy. And it sucks. Like, I don't like doing that. I don't like canceling stream, especially for something that feels like I shouldn't cancel stream for. It's like, if I'm not actually sick, why am I, like, whatever, I should just stream and sleep after stream. But no, I don't know, I just felt really not great, so yeah, so I canceled stream. So that was my mental health day or something. My day off of just, I didn't feel like I wanted to go through that. But yeah, no, I've been good. I think I've been good. Like, health-wise, I've been good. No, minus sleep. My sleep, I mean, I guess that's factored in. But I don't know, yeah. Sleep quality's been terrible. Temperature-wise isn't helping. But otherwise, I feel like there's nothing I can really complain about. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I could complain about anything. I'm pretty good at complaining. But there's nothing I should really complain about. It's good to take the day off when you need it for sure. Yeah, it's hard though. It's so easy to justify like, well, I'm not really that sick, and like, I don't know, it's not like a real. I don't know. It's just it's very easy to make excuses or justify why you shouldn't do something. I don't know. I'm not great at it, and I also find that like, and this is something I noticed like even as a kid. You know how like kids will, if they have a little bit of a sore throat or something, they'll like find an excuse to, Mom, I'm sick, I can't get out of bed, and they moan and complain, and they know that they can get the day off of school if they just, make a scene. And most parents kind of learn that like whatever, you're going anyway, they'll take your temperature. If you don't have a temperature, then they'll send you in. But every once in a while, like if they think you've actually been sick, like you can get away with it. Like if you've had a cough the day before and you just play up the cough a little bit and be like, "Oh, I feel bad," they'll just like keep you home from work. But every time I did that as a kid, I did it a couple times, and I know my siblings did it as well. But every single time I did that, I would regret it. I'd be like, "This is stupid. I'm bored. Now I feel bad because I missed school, and now I have to like make up for it, and I feel like I'm gonna be behind." And like, by 10 a.m. in the morning, you're sitting there. You've only been home from school for 4 hours, and you're like, "That was stupid. I could have just gone to school." Like, yeah, maybe I felt a little bad, but like, it feels worse to just be here not doing anything. And that's kind of how I feel about a lot of things, where it's like, oftentimes it's almost, I feel crappier missing the thing than the amount of crappiness I feel for just like, being a little bit under the weather or something. And so it's so easy to like have that in my head and like convince myself that, oh, I should just do it. Tough it out, do the thing. And like, I mean, I kind of should, I think, sometimes, because again, I do sometimes genuinely feel worse for having like a missed stream than I would if I just streamed while slightly, tired or something. So yeah, it's kind of a weird thing. So I don't really know where I stand on that. I think in general, I do try to show up to things and not call out, call in sick or not, like unless I really have to, but sometimes it's just good to just take the day off. That feel? You try to avoid that situation by trying to make up for the missing stream by doing an extra stream later in the week or the next week. Yeah, but then you feel in the moment though, while you're taking the first day off, you end up like regretting it even more because now it's like you're like dreading that going back to work, back to work in streaming terms. Now it's like you've got to do even more, and it's more daunting, and it's like, was it really worth it? Like, to me, that would have me questioning even more if it was even worth it to take the day off, knowing that now I need to make up for it, right? So no, I don't. So I don't make up for it because I that just puts more pressure on me, and like I don't need more pressure telling me that I shouldn't call out. I need less, right? It makes me think of like the YouTubers who have like I don't know if there's a YouTuber called Legal Eagle. He covers a bunch of like legal things in the you know, mostly in the US, mostly with like politics, but not always. But really just anything happening where there's like some, you know, the law is involved, and he'll just cover it as a lawyer from a lawyer's perspective. But he's added like a second person to his channel who will like make videos and stuff. And so in those situations, like if he's like, oh, I can't do a video this week, let's just have someone else upload there, right? Like I kind of get the impression that having multiple people on like one channel relieves some of the pressure, because I mean, maybe it's not, maybe it's more because they're you know, they're pumping out more content, but it's sort of like if I'm sick, there's no one to make it up for me, right? It's like, well, either I miss the day completely, or I do double work later, or I just say screw it, right? Like there isn't really like a, oh, somebody else will fill in for me. Nope, nobody's gonna fill in. So until that happens, I don't think I would ever be like, well, I gotta make it up. Nope, screw that. If I'm gonna miss stream, I'm gonna miss stream. I'm not gonna do another one. I don't want to have to put extra pressure on myself to when I'm already not feeling great. True, though I tend to only take the day off when I am super ill or unable to sit at your desk usually. Gotcha. Funny enough, I don't mind, like, if I'm, like, you know, coughing and you know, nose stuff's happening and I feel kind of crappy. I actually don't mind streaming in those cases. It's more about, like, the mental side of things for me, I think. Where it's just, like, I don't have the physical energy to keep up a conversation, and I know for sure that the quality would just be terrible. If I have to like turn off the mic because I'm blowing, or not the mic, the mic or the webcam because I'm blowing my nose and I'm just a total mess, like that's fine. I don't mind too much. It's more about like my energy levels, and am I able to hold a conversation and be slightly enthusiastic about a thing that I enjoy, you know? If I'm just gonna be a downer, like I don't know, I mean, I realize my streams can be a little bit of a downer because we talk about stuff like being sick and, you know, just stuff that is not the most cheery of topics. Um, but yeah, that's really like that's the main calculus in my brain is like, am I gonna be able to put on some sort of stream that is worth listening to or worth being here? I don't know. That's kind of what goes through my head. Also, I don't know what I'm doing here. I'm trying to figure out like what colors put in here. This is kind of neat. You know what? Let's... BRB gotta walk the catto? Alright. Do you... Wait, do you put a harness on your cat? I assume you do. Harnesses are adorable on cats. Whenever people are like, I'm leaving, and they're like, oh, wait. Yeah. But anyway, no, yeah, go walk the cat. Alright. What am I doing? I'll try to narrate what I'm doing. I am trying to get this to look like it's in perspective. So these shapes are here, right? All in the same sort of line, right? This is here, but I'm figuring the eye line is about here. So I'm just trying to make that each of these, if this is the eye line, that each of these are roughly, you know, on the line. So like if I have something up here, it's going to be slightly above it. And then these are going to be more curved, which actually I didn't do. So I'm going to do that now by making this more curved. Whoops. Hold on. Why? Let's delete that. But yeah, I'm just trying to make sure the perspective's kind of working. And as I sketch in some random lines here for perspective, I'm trying to figure out, like, maybe there's some shapes that I can bring in. Like, do I want a, you know, a physical line? You know, if here's a tower, do I want like another small tower back here? Or you know, because right now I have like three, you know, 3 or 4 towers. Maybe I want to really push it and do a lot of small towers back here at different heights. And so I want some different shapes. Or maybe this thing is on a big slope. And so we have all these things like this on the slopes here. And trying to figure out how that slope might work. Which is kind of cool. I actually do like the idea of little slopes here. Right, and so maybe there's like another tower here. Or maybe it's not a tower, right? Maybe this one's like a little bit of a sticky outy thing. It's a technical term there. And maybe this one has a little bit of a sticky outy thing. So yeah, I'm trying to just slowly build up the painting. And then maybe some figuring out light. So this is something that I haven't done a lot of with this kind of painting, but you know, making like a new layer, figuring out where some of these are gonna be, and just like, okay, we're putting in some lighting. So maybe there's some light. Maybe it's coming from kind of from above. Or not from above, maybe slightly from the front. And I'm not trying to be precious about it, right? I want this stuff to be... I don't know, I want it to feel like I can actually put the light wherever I want. And normally I can, right? Normally I can, you know, if I want stuff in the foreground here, like light up here, I can do that. Sometimes it helps, though, just to block it in like this and not worry about like trying to paint the structures themselves, but just paint like big shapes, and then I figure out, then I can carve out the structures later, like that. Right, and then wherever's left is the light. So that's something that I can do. So I haven't really found a great way of doing it that I like. I think this way is better, where I just make the big shapes first. This could be a thing. So if this is a light, we could have shadow back here. And then we can have some more light up here. But yeah, this kind of lighting for me requires a lot more effort, because the silhouettes are a lot more complex. But that's kind of, I think that's part of what makes it fun. I do enjoy a good amount of complexity in my paintings. I think they just, it's like the risk-reward ratio goes up, you know? You try things that are more daring and a little bit more likely to fail, but also they're more unique because not as many people do them, or like you don't do them as often. And so when you do succeed, it feels much more interesting, because it's like, you know, I don't see this all the time. So that's something that I like. That's kind of one of my pet theories. I know this is stupid, but it's like it's not objectively true, but my theory is like the things that are harder in art are done less, which I think is reasonable to assume. And because they're done less, we find them more interesting because they're more novel. So it's not that harder things are inherently more interesting. It's just that they're more interesting only because we see them less, right? So it's like if you challenge yourself, your painting will be better, which isn't true, right? That's not objectively true. But there is something to that thread of logic of like, I think, especially when, like, you know, big population numbers and, you know, everybody's learning to draw, you know, anatomy and characters, and, you know, a lot of people are learning from the same sources. The things that are, like, if you can do something that, you know, everyone else can do, you've probably seen it a million times. And so there is something to be said about, like, really, you know, doing 5 different ways of lighting in a you know, not just having you know, something with like soft light, but also have hard light and hard edges and different materials and like doing the whole thing. I don't know. For me, those types of images are much more interesting. One, because I know they're hard, but also just because you don't see them as often. And so when someone does it really well, you're like, wow, that really stands out as being cool. But again, it's not because, like, the technicalness doesn't inherently make it better, right? But I feel like it's more of the exposure to it that makes it tickle my brain in the right way. I don't know. It's always a weird thing because I feel like that's kind of a hot take. Because if you were like, oh, you know, just difficult things are more interesting, like, I don't think that's true, right? You shouldn't have to be constantly trying new things for your paintings to be interesting. But I don't know, like, from my point of view, it's just not as exciting for me if I'm not trying something new, or if there's not, you know, I don't know. Like, I think the difficulty of something, for me, it pays off, um, in that way, kind of. I don't know. I'm rambling. I don't know if anyone else ever feels like that. Because, like, ultimately, it shouldn't be about how hard a painting is, right? Like, that's absurd. If someone were to tell me the thing that makes a painting interesting is how difficult it was to make, that is the worst reason. Like, it's not about, like, oh, it's not about content, right? No, it should be about what it is about, right? It should be about what is the painting, what story or message are you trying to tell, like, how well executed it is, you know, like, it should be those things. Those are the things we learn. But at the same time, like, I don't know, there is that other mix, that other factor of, like, how often do you see those things? And I don't know. Not really sure how I feel about all that. But anyway, here's 3 little paintings. That's my hot take. Hot take of the day. No, I think part of that's also just my way of, like, convincing myself, like, that it's even more. So not only is it worth it in the sense, like, I think it's worth it just to push yourself, like, and try new things. But I feel like it's even more worth it because it's not just skill building, but there's actually, like, a real, like, outcome of the work, right? Like, it's not like, I think it'd be an admirable thing to say, like, I just want to make stuff and challenge myself because I think it's worthwhile to learn new things and build skill, and, like, I think that's true. But also, just additionally on top of that, like, I do genuinely believe that, like, it actually just, the things that people find interesting tend to be the harder things. Like, not, and again, not because they're inherently more interesting, but because we see less of them. And so that's like an extra incentive to, like, push myself. Not that I needed one, I don't think, but it is sort of that in the, always not in the back of my mind. It's kind of in the back of my mind. So yeah, that's the thing. I'm making these weird round shapes. And I don't know what they are, but they're kind of interesting. I don't know about that shape. Maybe one here? Trying to make some interesting shapes here without going too heavy on, like, the tangents. I'm trying to carve out some of the shapes here and make, you know, try to figure out, like, where this shape's intersecting, you know, with this shape. Because a lot of that stuff isn't sorted out. Anyway, that's kind of fun. Little shapes. Ooh, that looks good, thanks. Thanks, Muffin, I appreciate it. Yeah, you know what, also, speaking of taking days off, because I just took a day off on Monday, so this is something I noticed, and it's always weird to, like, use examples from video games, but I noticed that, especially with habits, and I don't know if one day is enough to change anything, so it's probably is not relevant to my current situation, but I know that when you have a thing where, like, you have, you know, the Venn diagram is, like, a good chunk of skill and knowledge, right? So skill slash knowledge. I don't know how to spell the word knowledge, so I'm just going to put it there. And then you have a big chunk of, like, habits and you know, routine, right? So habits. I find that sometimes these habits can get in the way, and so, like, taking breaks, like, will sort of erase some of the habits, but the skill remains, and then you rebuild up the habits so that the Venn diagram is a little bit more overlapping. So, like, you're not doing these random bad habits that are, like, you normally wouldn't do, but just you happen to have a habit that falls outside of, like, bad skill, right? So, like, you do a thing not because it's good, but because it's just purely a habit from long ago and you've gotten better, but you still do it, right? And so I find taking breaks can kind of reset your habits and make them align with your current skills and knowledge a little better. Because I don't think you really lose that stuff. Like, I don't think you lose your knowledge and skills of painting. You know, it may not be as easy when you come back, but you're still good. And you might have to logic your way through stuff because you're not going to have those, like, muscle memory. But once you do, they will be as high as they can have ever been because they'll be matching your knowledge. And anyway, that's kind of my theory, my understanding of skill building. So I think it's good to just take breaks. Like, I think that's another argument for taking breaks, is that you can sort of have a little bit of a reset. I notice this a lot with League of Legends in video games because the game is very theoretical and there's lots of new constant updates. And so when you might have habits from one update and something changes, but you still do a thing that you learned years ago, and, like, it's hard to constantly be flexible and update your habits with the new knowledge. But if you take breaks, you come back and you don't have those habits and everything feels alien, but then you kind of have to re-logic through and relearn habit, you know. So I find it was always helpful, and I always felt like I got better when I came back after a couple weeks or months break. So I think the same is true with art, for sure. I mean, I think I almost know it's true with art, but I haven't taken long breaks in a while. But yeah, breaks are definitely good. What's everyone up to right now? Is anyone playing any games? Has anyone played any exciting games lately, or any new games? I don't know what games people play these days. I know people have played that game Peak. I know a new Battlefield game came out, which I don't know anything about Battlefield, nor do I really care about it, because I don't think I will ever play it. Um, but that is fine. What other games have people been talking about? I don't know. Trying to figure out. Yeah, just curious what other people have been up to. DK Bonanza. What is that? I've never heard of that. Donkey Kong, I assume. DK Bonanza. Donkey Kong Bonanza, 2005. 25. Ooh. Man, it's been a long time since I played any Donkey Kong games. That sounds fun. Donkey Kong games were great. So I haven't been following Donkey Kong games since like the last time I played a Donkey Kong game was probably like I don't know, literally on like NES or something. Like it's been a long time since I played a Donkey Kong game. So I guess my question is, as Donkey Kong as a franchise or as a series, has it stayed pretty true to like the OG platformer games? Or is it now like open world and totally separate from like the feel of the OG games? Because I know a lot of games have like they just don't have the quite the same feel as like the originals. Doesn't mean they're worse. It's just they've changed over time to be more like the newer genres kind of. But looking at Donkey Kong from this, it looks like it's still a platformer. I think. Is it still a platformer? There are some levels that are homage to the NES side-scrolling, but it's much more open. Gotcha. Okay. Very much like Super Mario Odyssey, then old school DK. Gotcha. Okay. I mean, part of me says that's a shame, but at the same time, I realize that's just how things work as they change and update and, adapt new technologies and new consoles and, it's makes sense that you're going to go in different directions, but yeah. That doesn't mean they're worse, though. They're just different. But there is always that part of me that's like, oh, what a shame, Enshrouded. I don't know what Enshrouded is. Man, I don't know any of these games. Enshrouded. Action RPG combat set within sprawling voxel-based... Wait, that actually sounds cool. Hold on. I could totally see myself liking it. Oh, I'm in an ad. Crap. You can smash all the terrain. It's addictive. I mean, based on the trailer, it sounds less cool than like the description, but it could be fun. I haven't really played any crafting games outside of like Minecraft. Like I don't know of a single crafting game. I mean, there are some games that are more like cozy genre games that I've played, but I wouldn't call them crafting games. They sometimes have like a slight crafting element in them, but not really. Yeah, I don't really play crafting games. Welcome back. Welcome back, Skittle. Skittle, we were talking about games. What are some cool games or new games or games that you've been playing? The cat has been appeased. Also, do you put a harness on PP, right? Hey, no, Sarah, how's it going? Welcome, welcome. Ooh, games? Pop Nemo and M-Face Scurry. I like that emote. No need for harness for Fifi anymore. Oh, does she just follow you? That's cool. I got Amber Isle, but I haven't played it yet. As far as I know, it's like Animal Crossing, but dinosaurs. What? That sounds amazing, actually. Hold on. Amber Isle. Google it. Amber Isle. Is it on Steam discount right now? 35% off? Is that what's happening? It is. It's 35% off. Oh my god. Animal Crossing but dinosaurs. Okay, well, I don't know if I'll ever play it, but I do like those types of games. I'm always very pleasantly surprised by those kinds of games, like Animal Crossing type games. And I've really, in the last just year or two, I've really gotten into those sort of like cozy farm sim games, like Stardew or Animal Crossing or, any of those games. Uh, so yeah. Speaking of playing new games, I finally got to playtest the game I've been working on. Oh, that's fun! You got to playtest the game you've been working on. That's super neat, since I have a gaming PC now, and the crash I was having got fixed. An artist I love named Rotzinger worked on some props for it. Her art is so good. She follows me. I don't deserve it. Aw. Isn't that such a funny feeling when, like, someone you admire follows you and you're like, oh my gosh, like, why? Like, why me? Like, why do they follow me? It's such a weird... Oh, not your game. Oh, for Amber Isle. Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, I got confused. I got confused from... I'll just blame you. You confused me. Uh, that's okay. But no, but isn't that such a weird feeling though? Like, I'm now moot with moot. Is that term for mutuals? I've never actually heard people say that. I've seen it. I've seen some people use that term, like on Reddit, but I've never seen anyone use it anywhere outside of there. So I didn't know that was actually a thing people say, but I like it. You're moot. It took me a second though to figure out what you meant. Your mutuals with so many people you don't deserve. Isn't that such a like a surreal feeling? I don't know. I remember the first time that happened. I think it was with actually I do know exactly who. I'm even gonna name drop them. The artist Sandara Tang. I remember the day that she followed me. I'm like, oh my gosh, like I cannot believe that she followed me. It was such a surreal moment. It's like why? Anyway, an artist you started following years ago and looked up to were kind of buds, lol. Time works in crazy ways. That's super cool. The Flamecraft artist. Yeah. When she started, she didn't do all the Flamecraft stuff, right? So like she had a crazy like shift from game art, think like playmats and dragons and stuff. Well, she still does dragons, but like fantasy game dragons to children's book dragons. So she had this huge like style shift. Um and yeah, it was about the time she was just starting. And actually the reason, I mean, yeah, anyway, it was but yeah, so she's made a major shift in the type of art she does. She still does the other kind of art too, but I don't think as much because she's been working on her own stuff. But yeah, no, it's super cool. You backed the Kickstarter for their new Flamecraft spin-off game, but you honestly, it was mostly because I wanted the art book and I missed out on before. Wide range of styles. Yeah. Yeah, she has a lot of, like, she used to do almost exclusively the very, like, detailed fantasy stuff. But anyway, yeah. I think there's a couple other people, I think, who have followed me throughout the years. And it's always anyway. The point I'm making, it wasn't like a braggy thing. I realize the more that I talk about it, the more it sounds like that. But it really is just this. Yeah, it's such a I don't know. There's something about it. It is a it's on one hand it's stupid because like they're just a person, living their life, doing things like any other person. And so it's not, I think this sort of like idolizing people is uh it's kind of, on one hand it's kind of dumb, right? But on the other hand, I don't know, it also makes it kind of fun. Like there's sort of a, I mean, it could be unhealthy. I guess it certainly could get into the territory of unhealthy when like you're trying to get attention or something, or you get it. I don't know, like there's something about it. I don't quite have words to it, but there's a part of me that it feels a little icky, where like the fact that this is a thing that matters so much, or that it can make you feel that strongly about a thing when it's really just like someone has seen your Instagram and clicked like or follow. Like it shouldn't be that big of a deal, but at the same time it can. I don't know. It's a weird thing. I'm not really sure how I feel about it. But it is definitely does is kind of a surreal feeling when someone that you admire their work follows you. But then I've also had a different scenario with people following me, which is people who I like their work and I admire them, or I admire their work, but then they're like not a great person and I don't like the stuff that they post, and then they follow me and I'm like, I feel like I should follow you back because I like your work, but also you're kind of unhinged and I don't think I should follow you. Like I don't want to, like I feel like it's I don't know, like sometimes there's people I feel like by following them it's like me giving them the check of of my approval or something. It's like I don't like the stuff that you post. Like I like your work, you're skilled. Anyway, so there's a few cases like that where it's like I'm flattered they would follow me, but at the same time I don't want to follow them back. Um so yeah, there's that. They're just a person, but it's also some amount of validation of your skills and hard work. Like, oh, if this amazingly skilled person likes my work, that means all my effort led to good results. Yeah, I mean, I think it is that, but I think that's the potentially unhealthy part, right? Where it's like, should someone else's validation be that important to you, right? Shouldn't we be in a spot where, say it, but like, it shouldn't, because I think there are some people out there where if they make an Instagram post and nobody likes it, nobody retweets it, nobody follows them, it's like actually negative on their mental health, right? It's like a bad, they're putting into the void and they no validation, and like I kind of get it. It sucks, but at the same time, that's unhealthy. If if your day is being ruined because strangers on the internet aren't giving you hearts, like swings, whether it's on the extremely negative to the extremely positive, right? Like I feel like both of them are equally concerning, right? Like if your day is ruined, maybe you're in too deep. You know what I mean? Like it shouldn't be those highs and those lows. I feel like that's too much control over our mental state. Can make me feel this way. Even though it's a good feeling, makes me feel like maybe this is unhealthy. You know? Moots are genuine, but other than just being two people who follow each other, I don't know. To get to know them better or chat about art. Gotcha. Although I would still argue that if you're like so over the moon that someone followed you, I mean, again, I've felt this way, so I'm not like, trashing on. Like, I don't feel that way about like a friend following me because, well, they're friends, and like, yeah, you can follow friends, and friends follow friends all the time, right? Moots just means mutuals. Yeah, yeah, yeah. both following each other. Yeah, no, I know that. But like, I feel like if there's a genuine friendship, I don't typically feel over the moon when a friend follows me, right? Because not to say that it's expected, but it's kind of more common. But where people, you know, like I don't know who's a famous actor right now, but like if you followed an actor, right? Not an artist, but like yeah, millions of people might follow them. But when they follow you, that feeling isn't oh because we're mutuals. It's now it's like it feels more like an idol thing. You know what I mean? Maybe I don't know what I mean. Like it definitely is not the same feeling as like a friend following you. It's much more closer in my mind to like an idol following you. And you're like, "Oh my gosh, they noticed me." And I don't know, it's just a crazy feeling though, because you only follow artists, so if I had a really good friend, I might not follow them on social media. Yeah. Honestly, that so I would probably follow a good friend on social media if they did art, is what I'm saying. Like, but yeah, no, I actually don't follow that many people, non-artists, on social media. But I kind of use social media as like in some ways, like a professional thing. Like, it is, art is professional for me, and so I don't follow like political people, even if I might consume political content or something. I'm not gonna do it and actively follow them because that's not how I want to use my social media account. Lego Bimo, hello. Moots are generally people who see each other's content enough to engage with each other. Gotcha. I'm still new to that term. I don't know if I'll ever use it. I mean, I know it just means mutuals, but it kind of doesn't just mean that. Like, it technically means that, but clearly it's more than just simply two people following each other. Because, like, lots of people follow each other, but they don't actually always engage and they don't comment, and it's just like, I don't know. Two people who happen to be on each other's radar. I'm probably overthinking it. You're remembering you haven't eaten anything today. You should probably go eat. But then again, I think it's even if it's just an idle follow, it means someone you respect for their skills likes your work, which means they probably have a good and objective assessment of your skill. Yeah, that probably. Yeah, that's true. And that can be really reassuring when you're in your own head all the time. Yeah, it's true. Yeah, I mean, it definitely can counterbalance some of the maybe the negative things. It's nice to have to think of it as like a, yeah. I mean, I think it's good. That's fair. Okay, let's see. What am I doing here? Let's slap some more colors on the canvas. I'm terrible with names, but there's some people I'll recognize them when I see them on my feed or Discord or whatever. See that name? Yeah, I'm the same. There are people who I couldn't tell you their name, but I see their art enough and I see their posts, and it's almost like their brand. I recognize their branding. I don't. Again, branding's kind of an icky word, but you recognize the colors in their profile picture. Even if I couldn't tell you exactly what it is, maybe it's a face and it has bright yellows in it. I'm like, okay. And they post a lot of butterflies. I'm like, oh, I know that person, And it's like you recognize their branding, even if it's not. Yeah, it's just something about it. It's like it's just very visually it's familiar. Yeah, I'm the same. I that's how I am with people online. This is why I get thrown off when people change their Twitch color, the color of their name on Twitch. Like if you were to change your name from yellow, I'm not sure I would recognize you. It'd be like, who's that? Like it would take me a moment. Um, or if someone else came in and had the same color of name as you and the same length, but they weren't you, just different letters, I'm not sure I would notice. I can get them mixed up. Thank you for the follow. Mr. Skellen says, like the Leo from Wolf of Wall Street name, where he's snapping and pointing at the TV. I recognize it, but I can't put a name to it. Yeah, pretty much. Green. We haven't done any green paintings today. Put some green in here. Maybe not the sky. Maybe we'll leave the sky not green, and we'll keep that kind of bluish. Maybe some yellows and greens. And what else? I like these colors. These are fun colors. Feels very foggy. What else do I want to do here? I don't know, maybe like a little shape. A little shape that comes down and it sort of little archway. Playing around. But yeah, branding online is weird. It is such a like some people I've noticed have no problem changing their usernames. I don't know if I could do that. Like even if I wanted to, I'm at the point where like it's just such a like I have been confused by people changing their names so much over the years, mostly from streaming on Twitch, that like that confusion, and that's like that goes against what I'm trying to do, right? Like I'm not convinced that a name change would ever outweigh the benefits of like that. I mean, maybe again, it's tricky because at the same time, like, you know, what is the? I'm gonna use like my Instagram numbers for a second. Like if I have 8,000 people following me, which isn't a ton. I mean, it feels like a lot, right? For me, it's a lot. You know, having 8,000 people be all confused, or even half of that, it feels like I would never want to do that. But at the same time, if someday in the future I'm at, let's say, 200,000 followers, well, what's 8,000, right? So it's kind of this weird, like, you know, like long-term thinking that and I'm happy that 8,000 people have clicked the follow button, you know? Like, I don't... But at the same time, maybe someday in the future that will be not that much or something. I don't know. And there was a time where, like, you know, a couple hundred feels amazing. And that is amazing. That's a lot of people. And then at some point you're in the thousands and you're like, oh, well, you know, maybe change things to your brain. You're constantly, like, shifting your frame of reference of, like, numbers and what numbers mean. I don't know. It's kind of wild. Okay, what am I painting? I don't know. But let's try to do some graphical shapes. For me, followers and following is more helpful for building your abstract network. Your feed and posts and people you engage with could include art, information, information or opportunities. True, yeah. Yeah, I think that's a better way to think about it, for sure. To, like, curate your feed in that way. In my opinion, I think there are diminishing returns after, like, 500. Yeah, I mean, I think if we're talking about, like, what you just said, absolutely. I mean, I think at some point, like, that the quality or the topic that doesn't get talked about enough, like what is actually the point, you know? Like I just rattled off random, you know, why does it matter how many followers you have when it's no different? This is the same thing that happens on Twitch, right? It's like people be like, oh, I really, really, really want to hit affiliate. And then you hit affiliate, you know, you have your 3, you're now affiliate, but like you're still at 3 average viewers or 4. you know, like nothing changed. And that's how you're still making art. You're still doing the thing. You're still putting it out there. You're still making posts. Nothing's changing on your end, really. You know, numbers gone up, but like, it's still just a, you know, I don't know. It's weird. Social media is weird. Like, there are people that I engage with. I see them. Their work goes into my brain, and you know, some of them follow me. There might be job opportunities. I think it's when it's like collecting Pokemon cards or collecting followers, where it's just like, oh, big number, and that's where it can, like, you don't really know why you're doing it, but you're just doing it because it feels good. That's where it can get tricky, I think. And make $50 every 2 months. Oh, do you make money from posts on social media? I guess you might. You get a lot of retweets, right? I actually don't know how that works. I think on Instagram it showed me that at some point I was eligible for monetization, but I don't think I've never made money. I've never entered in my bank details. I'm pretty sure I've never got paid, so I don't exactly know how that works. People who are merch artists do have to play the game of collecting followers, unfortunately. Yeah. Oh, no, sorry. I was flip-flopping. I was talking about just social media and numbers. I was using Twitch as more of an analogy because like that's something that I have experienced um where there's sort of this like you feel like once you hit this new threshold that the world's gonna change, right? You're like, you know, things are gonna be so different once I hit partner, and then you hit partner and you're like, huh, it's like the same as it was last Tuesday or whatever, you know? Like, or you hit affiliate and you're like, huh, nothing's changed. Like in your head there's this big milestone, but there is no change from day to day, right? And I think the same is true with like 500 followers to 1,000 to 10,000 to 100,000. Like, nothing's really different. Now, I do think, like you said, if you're a merch person and you know, you are quite literally trying to market to an audience, um, that's different. And obviously, if you have the big numbers, you can then start to market to them. But yeah, but that's not, you know, no. I feel like that is a thing, that is a choice, right? Nobody has to sell merch. Nobody has to do that. If that is a thing that you want to do, that is fine. But like, there's definitely some people online who feel like as an artist you have that has to like there I sometimes there's a narrow view of art making on the internet, and that is the view that people hold of like, if you're an artist in 2025 you have to grow the numbers and market towards them and push content and you know, put out merch and sell your prints to your audience. Like, you don't have to do that. That's not the only way. That's a very narrow way of doing art online, and it's one of ways, or not even online, but just making art as a living, right? Like, it's not the only way. I don't know. Okay, what am I doing here? I don't know. I've been fiddling around with this painting, not doing anything. Just making shapes and colors. Also, follower numbers are getting more and more bloated by bots. Oh my gosh. I'm pretty sure on Twitter, like more than half of my followers have got to be bots. Actually, here. So I hardly post on Twitter. I want to show you something. Oh, X. I forgot how to go to Twitter. I can show you if I go to my notifications. Well, maybe I shouldn't. I don't know. There was a time where it was about a month or two between posts. I think it was about 2 months that I hadn't posted, and every single day I would get like 4 followers. And every once in a while I would be like, you know, I would click on a couple of them just out of sheer curiosity, and they were all bots. Like, it very clearly bot profiles, you know, the 0 follower accounts, they're following like 2 people and I'm one of them. They have a bunch of numbers in their name. Like, just very clearly freshly made accounts, and they're following me. Why would they follow me? Like, it just feels like it felt, I mean, maybe not 100% bots, but sure felt that way. And like, they just, every single day there'd be like 4 of them. Now, when I'm actually active and I'm posting, it's harder to tell because there is actually reach with my posts, and as long as people are retweeting stuff, there could always be legitimate people following me. But there is a steady stream of bots following me. Like, again, like 4 or something every day. It's not a lot, but it's kind of strange, and I don't understand. And maybe they're not all bots, and I don't want to be accusatory, but pretty sure they're bots. I don't know how that translates to like Instagram or any other thing. I feel like my Instagram followers are more likely to be real. I don't know why I feel that way. But Twitter just feels like it's infested. And it's just overrun. It's so many bots on Twitter. It's ridiculous. Sarah says, the most insane thing to me is there are people out there selling accounts that have already farmed thousands of followers for, probably mostly bots. Yeah, like you can just buy an account that has nothing on it, but comes with pre-existing. What's the point? That is so dumb. For anyone listening who doesn't understand why this is stupid, first of all, those people aren't going to like your stuff. They're not going to retweet. It's literally just a number. But that's on the best case scenario is they don't do anything, because they're not going to do anything. They're not going to follow you. The worst case scenario is that the algorithms of Twitter or whatever platform you're on are going to be like, you who has 10,000 followers or 100,000, you post something and nobody likes it, right? We're sending it to your followers and none of them are engaging with it. It must be really terrible content. And so it starts thinking that you're posting garbage. Even if you're not. And so it doesn't promote it. It doesn't send it out to the internet. Nobody sees it. It goes into the void because according to the algorithm, your stuff's underperforming, right? You're performing like garbage because the people who it's sending it to aren't even real. And so you just basically are fallen into the void because your metrics are so terrible. That's also one reason why like follow for follow type things, if you see them on like Instagram or even maybe even on Twitch, but on like Instagram and stuff, that's why those things are bad, because they're basically guaranteeing that your metrics suck. Like, instead of the people who following you who genuinely like your stuff, you're now getting people who don't, and those people aren't going to engage with you the same way that a real user is. And so when you're comparing 2 accounts and you're trying to find patterns between what content's good and what isn't, you're going to look at the ones who have real engagement and be like, okay, well, compared to those, this other account that's been botted is way lower. And so it's not good. Like, there's no benefit to it. Now, there might be a benefit to likes, buying likes or something on like Instagram, that I think there could be. I don't know. Not like this. I mean, because like you can actually pay Instagram for promotion, kind of, and like get like marketing, and you can get your post to like go to more people. There might be something to that. I don't know. I've never done it. I don't have the money to spend on it. I don't know if I ever would. I might if I were making a product and wanting to sell it. I would use it as like, it could be worth it. I don't know. I have to look into it. There is a chance that it could be worth it to use the Instagram's native marketing tools for like promoting a product. It could be worth it. I don't know. But that's not quite the same as just like buying followers. If you're buying a thing that is actually affecting a metric, then maybe, I don't know. But yeah, I remember people. This is why I always chuckle with like the Twitch bots that are like buy followers. It's like, okay, first of all, nobody cares about your followers. It's only about the people who are actually watching you. Like, you know, and so it's just kind of it's kind of weird that people would actually, it's literally a scam, but it's unfortunate that some people see those things, and apparently, I'm assuming, some people actually will want to buy followers. But again, like buying views on Twitch, maybe there's a benefit, right? Like if hypothetically, if it was like literally 25 cents for for 300 viewers, like if it boosts you to the top of the page, you're gonna then get more real traffic. Like there could be an actual benefit to it. It's still like cheating, right? It's not good. I would never recommend it. I think it's kind of messed up behavior, but you know, just because something is illegal and against terms of service doesn't technically mean it's bad. But I mean bad in terms of like money or viewers or whatever. But in general, buying followers just seems stupid. It doesn't feel like it does anything. I mean, certainly doesn't do anything on Twitch. Yeah, like you have and you could exactly. You could have 35,000 followers, but if you're only getting 2 to 8 viewers, then who cares? Might be lurkers. Yeah, I mean, I think viewers at least will push, like that at least does something on Twitch. It pushes you up or down. But again, like what is the point, right? Like, I mean, I guess if the viewers are watching ads, then like you pay money to get viewers to then recoup some of the, I don't know what the point is, right? I don't really get the idea of botting on Twitch. Like I would get zero satisfaction knowing that the people watching me aren't real. Like, what a depressing thing. Like, that would be depressing. I don't know. Anyway, I should paint faster. I've been noodling here and not painting hardly. It's weird to have a conversations about like heating the system and stuff. One, because I don't do it and I think it's not generally advisable ever. But also it just feels like it sounds like even having a discussion about it is like me promoting it or thinking that it's a good thing to do. And like I don't know. There could be an edge case where like, because like I actually do think, especially on Twitch and even on Instagram, I think there are probably some people who have genuinely succeeded in part because they have sort of cheated the system, right? I do think there are some people who have absolutely gained from it, right? Like if you boost your viewer by a couple hundred, now you're at the top of the category, and that was the boost in exposure to need. Maybe you're also making good content, but that boost in exposure is what brought people in, and you were actually then able to grow organically, right? It's totally possible that that has happened. Right? Kind of same thing on like Instagram. You know, if people paid for views on posts that then got pushed to more people because people were viewing their, because their posts were inflated, and then the new people coming in were real, and those people actually like the content, and then they follow, and then number goes up really fast, right? And then maybe it stays up. I don't know how that works. I would never recommend that. I think it's super sketchy and likely to literally backfire. But like, I don't doubt that there is an element of like, there are probably people who have benefited from that, right? And I think it would be ignorant of me to say it's all just objectively never worth it, because I can imagine scenarios where people have succeeded because of that. The view bots don't actually count towards the ad revenue, apparently, as they supposedly have a bunch of retroactive tools to discount the fake viewers from the real views in the ad payout. Yeah, assuming they're caught. But yeah, no, I think view botting on Twitch is worse. But again, you're still pushing you up the ranks, right? So like even if you're not getting ad revenue, you are probably getting more. That I don't know. I mean, I don't know what I'm saying. I guess I'm saying I would never recommend it. I would never do it. I would feel slimy doing it. But I think the narrative that it's all like objectively bad and there's no downside. But I don't know. It's also I'm my light source just changed. Hold on. Yeah, in theory, yeah, yeah. I'm sure there are all sorts of tools, and obviously you could get banned. Probably, I don't know. Actually, I don't know if that's true. I assume you could get banned if they knew that you were doing it. But I think there's been people who have been view botted, and they weren't the ones who did it. So like, you can't have someone with their parents' credit card view bot their favorite streamer and then get their streamer banned. So like, you know, so they don't ban typically people for view botting. I don't think they just try to retroactively, mitigate the effects of the view bot. But again, there's still viewer lists and people sorting by that, so it's tricky. I don't know. Probably not a great topic to be talking about on stream, but it's still one that I always find this stuff interesting because it's like borderline, like it, in terms of Twitch's terms of service, it's illegal, right? Like obviously you're not going to get literally thrown in jail for it, but it's breaking the terms of service, and so in that sense, it's like illegal behavior. And it's always, I don't know, there's something about these topics that make that pique my interest, like when crime pays off, kind of. It's like I don't know, there's something just fascinating about it. It's am I weird? Does anyone else ever are they interested by it's the same thing, it's the same part of interest that that I like about heist movies, where it's this fascination of a well executed crime or something. I don't know, I would never do that in real life, but I enjoy thinking about it, and I don't know, it's weird. I don't know if other people feel that way. From what I've seen, the biggest streamers will use the bots to pad their viewer stats so they can make bigger sponsorship deals, essentially fraud. Yeah, I've heard about that. Yeah, that seems really bad. Don't be doing literal fraud. Don't do that. How do they keep getting away with this? Yeah. Yeah, I've heard that too, Skittle, and that wouldn't surprise me in the least. Apparently, same thing with on Spotify. It's a big deal. Fake viewers and view bottings, and people have made literally hundreds of thousands of dollars from making AI songs and having bots listen to their AI music. And literally nobody is listening to these things, but people are making money from Spotify. And it's a giant arms race of Spotify trying to crack down on this, but also not have other people be caught in the crossfire of legitimate viewers, and how do you measure it? And it's a big deal because some of these companies are losing lots of money by basically paying out ad revenue. Yeah, it's a really weird problem to have, and it's very much a problem of our times, this just literally couldn't have existed, six. I definitely do not envy big companies like Twitch in that they have to actively try and crack down on this stuff. What a headache. Same with games, trying to crack down on cheaters. My god, that just sounds like a nightmare. because like people are gonna do it, right? You know, people. Again, it's not good, it's not recommended, but people will absolutely cheat, and so you constantly have to like have this arms race of trying to be one step ahead of them. Uh, yeah, just or else your game gets ruined, basically, right? Or your service, whatever service you're providing, can get ruined. That's honestly that's the biggest reason why I'm so against it. I think, like on individually, like whatever, but as a whole thing, when your platform is known to be full of bots and people are scamming the system and there's like a reputation of this is happening, it just ruins it for everybody because like Skittle said, if advertisers are like, oh, don't we aren't going to make deals with Twitch streamers because people are view botting and everything is fake. There's no real people there. And so advertisers stop paying, Twitch can't afford to stay up because they're not making any money. Like what is, like, and then it goes away, That's how platforms die. So on one hand, someone might think, well, I'm just going to get a little bit ahead, but it ends up making it all worse. Brogley. Highest, Strongy. How's it going? Joe the Wizardy says, heist movies are good because most of them are about the little guy getting what they should be owed or someone sticking it to the bad guy. But most actual crime and theft like that is boring and the other way around. True. Like some billionaire taking advantage. I mean, I think that's part of it, but I think that's also just a small piece of the pie. Like, I also just like the technical fascination of it. I like the planning, the movie, lots of moving parts and seeing how they interact, and like I like that stuff. I like the cleverness of seeing a plan come to action or come to fruition or not. Most of the time it doesn't. I don't know. There's something. I think it's more than just like little guy succeeding. There are stories of like literal rich people doing. I don't know. It almost doesn't even matter if I morally can connect with the main character. It's in some ways I just like the technical, the planning. It's like to me it's like a formula. It's like candy to the brain in that you have a very clear goal, right? You have, get object from bank vault, and that is the goal, and everything is in service of that goal. It's very clear where you're headed. There isn't a lot of like me trying to figure out what the plot is. Like, I know what the plot is. It's steal thing from bank, right? It's literally in black and white. There is no nuance in all of the happenings. Are like, there's something about it that makes it very easy to digest and easy to consume. It's like why death game shows are interesting, even though they're horrific. It's like seeing game design and strategy in action. Yeah, I like that, exactly. It's like it's like technical candy for the brain, kind of. Like it's sort of this. Yeah, it's I enjoy seeing that. It's like the game theory, the psychology, whatever the key component of the movie is, right? Some heist movies are more like social engineering, some are more techno savvy type stuff. But whatever it is, it's that kind of like techno. It's that like the being very literate in the thing that they're doing, right? If they're using technology, it's like people who are experts at technology, or there's puzzle solvers and they're very good at solving puzzles, or they're like, it's sort of like just people being competent, right? It's just very, I enjoy that. I enjoy watching movies where there's a bunch of competent people doing like clever things, even if it's a little hokey and phony and not the, it can be a little cheesy. It doesn't have to be the most believable thing, but it's still, there's something about that is interesting to me. It's like candy for the brain. It doesn't have to be the most deep and clever thing ever, but it's exciting. It's interesting to watch. And yeah, I think it's very similar to like the death game shows. Us Americans also have a strange fascination with mob and gang-like crime. Yeah, but I mean, I don't even think it has to be that. I think that stuff, to me, well, for me personally, it's less that. Again, I don't care if it's a bad person or a good person doing it, or the little guy succeeding, or a bad guy doing crime against other bad people, right? There's a lot of movies where it's like literal just bad people stealing from other bad people, and like everyone sucks and you don't really care, but it's still fascinating. Or you have things where good people are like, I think that dynamic can change, and I think I care less about that. To me, it's more about the competency and the cleverness and the seeing, having constraints, and then you collide them, right? It's like having two game mechanics interact with each other, right? I think there's a, I mean, this is also why I like games like Path of Exile, right? You have like, I don't know why I'm going to explain this, but I'm going to. So in Path of Exile, you have a game mechanics that can layered on top of each other. So like, if I shoot a fireball, there is a way that I can shoot 3 fireballs, and then my fireball will hit the thing and they'll explode in a small radius. But if I want, I can also make the radius, 10 times as big. So I shoot 1 fireball and boom, big explosion. But now I can shoot 3 of them if I do that. And when that, in each of the, here, I can draw it. I don't know, I'm hand gesturing, right? So 1 fireball might look like this with a radius, right? So it shoots in a direction, and then the fireball hits an explosion, in this area. But if I modify it with a certain gem or skill, I can now shoot 3 fireballs at a time, right? And they will hit enemies, and each of them will explode. Or I could instead amplify this and make it a big radius. Or I could do both, and they would have this and they would overlap. And so you could get like triple damage if you were to hit them right in the middle, right? And so you couldn't have gotten the triple damage just by this, right? So it's only when these two mechanics interacted, where you have the big fireball and the 3 of them, that now they've come together in a way that did something that's more than the sum of their parts, right? They call that competence porn. Yeah. Exactly, that. But anyway, and so that there's sort of this like the mechanics of the situation, maybe it's the, this bank has all these layers of security, and here's how we're going to avoid, get past that security by using social engineering, right? So instead of just like doing the thing the right way, they're doing it in a roundabout way, and it's like these two things coming together to solve the problem there's something about that. It doesn't, it's just exciting for my brain, and it almost doesn't matter if it's a good guy or a bad guy, or it almost doesn't even matter what the story is. And again, yeah, the story, maybe there's some like, we like a good underdog story, you mix that into the mix, and maybe we like, people who do bad things get what they deserve, you throw some of that into the mix. And it's a little bit formulaic in a way. You think that was the generation 2 before me? You've never had any interest in mob and gang plots? Yeah, me neither. Things like Scarface and a lot of those like mobster movies, I never liked that. I've always thought they sucked. Except, again, there are cases where like there are heist movies that surround the mob, and like whatever, that's fine. I don't mind that, but that's not because of the mob. It's because of the other thing. I don't know. But that's just me. I'm sure there are some people who really like mobster stuff. It's funny, though, and I don't want to pick on Joe the Wizardy here, because I know you brought up Actually, no, two people brought it up. No, it was you. You said heist movie. Like, I think that's I think for some people, what you said is totally true. Like, you know, the underdog stories, I think definitely people like. People definitely do like mobster stuff. But this made me think of, like if I said I like a good heist movie, what's the magician heist movie? Oh, Catch Me If You Can. No, not that. Never mind. That was not that. It was called Now You See Me. Yeah, Now You See Me. Sorry, I don't know why. No, Catch Me If You Can was a good. It wasn't a heist movie, but that's another like competency movie, right? Where it's funny. Okay, there's a funny backstory to that, but no, that was a totally different movie. Yeah, Now You See Me. Yeah. But no, it's funny though. Like, I think for some people, heist movies are what Joe the Wizardy said, right? Where it's like, oh, it's an underdog story and it's a mob movie and there's sort of like all these components. I feel like a thing that I see a lot though, like this makes me think of like an executive in a studio where it's like, we want to make a heist movie because we hear those are popular, and they're like, oh well, you know what makes heist movies popular is it's the mob, and then so you end up with like this movie that's like not really what people wanted it for. It ends up being this thing that's totally different because different people have different ideas of what makes the movies good, and like it's typically a combination of things. I don't know. Also, why is my nose itchy again? Anyway, I should be we should vote. I've been painting on this and not actually making progress. But yeah, I don't think I will say I do like underdog stories. Underdog stories for me absolutely are fun, but the subject matter tends to be more important. I know people also like war movies, and I hate war movies. Or maybe not hate, but war movies suck. I don't know if I've seen a war movie that I really like. Like, there's some that I can acknowledge that are good movies because they clearly are well made, but they're just not interesting. I don't like the premise. I don't like anything about them. Like, nothing is more of a turnoff in a movie than telling me it's set in a World War II era. I don't want a movie set during World War II. If that is the premise of the movie, if that's like the setting for the movie, I have become less interested just by learning that. It's gotta be my least favorite genre movie. You've never watched a war movie, a mob movie, or a western. See, I don't mind movies that are set in, like, western times with, like, lack of technology. They have to ride horses, whatever. That's fine. I don't mind that. Because, like, within that, you can still have heist movies, right? Like, there's classic, like, Wild West train heist movies and stuff. Or there are, there's all sorts. I feel like western movies feel like they're just set during a time. And I know that's how. Whereas, like, war movies, they tend to be set during specific wars. They're more historical fiction. Whereas, like, westerns can be anything, right? Like, No Country for Old Men, I think, is a western? Maybe? Does that movie count as a western? But, like, that was a cool movie. But, yeah, that's the thing. Like, Back to the Future 3, does that count? Sure, why not? Right? I think western is more of. I mean, there are fantasy movies like sword and sorcery type of stuff that totally qualify. You know, the amount of horse riding and, you know, the lack of technology. They're like, Lord of the Rings is basically a western. Well, maybe not. But like, you know, sometimes there are definitely overlap between genres. Whereas, so yeah, for me, Western isn't like a mood killer like a World War II movie is. World War II, like, it's not exciting to me. Like, it doesn't mean that the movies are bad, but it's not, yeah. Bridge Too Far, never seen it. has a prison escape that is really confident, it's like a heist. Yeah, see that's fair. Lord of the Rings is reverse heist. Yeah, I mean, totally is. You don't find the backdrop of Westing super interesting? Dry deserts and sand. Yes, I agree with you there. That I totally agree with. It doesn't. If you tell me it's a Western, that alone isn't going to pique my interest. But I think with Westerns, I'm less willing to like view them negatively than I am with World War II. If you tell me a movie is set in World War II, I have a very hard time being like impartial to that fact. I'm going to judge it before I ever get to know the movie, which is not good, right? That's not a good practice of like, you know, critical thinking. But I just do it. It's just like a part of me. It's so hard to not do it because I hear that I'm like, this sucks. It's gonna suck. I know it's gonna suck. Prison escapes or reverse heist too? Yeah. Yeah, prison escapes are great. I like prison escape movies. Also very fascinating. Okay, let's vote on one of these. I'm gonna do the lazy voting and just slap it up in on Twitch. I'm gonna just make a poll right here. /poll. Only one vote per person. I didn't know World War... Oh gosh, there's so many war movies. There are so many war movies. It's ridiculous. I think they're less popular now, but like there was a time, especially in like the 2000s, it was like there was like at least in theaters at any given point of time, it felt like there was like 2 war movies. Typically World War II. I don't know what it was, but just the broccoli trees. Gotcha. You like the broccoli trees? Still having to specify 1 vote per person after all this time. Well, that's different because normally people can vote for multiples, right? Because normally I do multiple choice voting. So no, I specify because sometimes people think they can vote for because the norm is that you can vote for multiples. That if you like 1, 5, and 3, you could vote for all of them. But you can't do that on Twitch, right? So straw poll is different from Twitch poll. That's why I vote. Mechanics are different. When the mechanics of the poll change, I like to note the difference. I don't know. But yeah, I guess it's pretty obvious when you go to click. BTTF3. Because the backdrops the time travel. Yeah. I mean, I don't know if you actually call Back to the Future 3 a Western, but actually, I think I don't know if I've ever seen Back to the Future 3 all the way through. I think I've seen parts of it. I knew it was a Western. No, I'm not saying don't cheat. I mean, don't cheat also, but like, no, it was more to specify that this is a case where you're voting for your favorite as opposed to like, yeah. You changed your mind? Oh no. Wait, I can't have my cake and eat it? I never understood that expression. What does that mean? I've used the expression many times, and I know I know the general meaning of the phrase, but I don't understand the origin and like the literal interpretation of have your cake and eat it. Like, isn't that the whole point of getting cake is to eat it? When do you ever get a cake and not eat it? Like, what am I stupid? Who buys cakes and not eats them? Uh, so yeah, I've always been very curious where that saying came from. Like, I know what it means. I understand it's like you want, you want you're. It's sort of like you want both parts of it, and it's like you want all the I don't know, like you're asking for too much kind of thing. I kind of get what it means in context, but it is very strange to think that people might buy a cake or have a cake and not eat it and think that they shouldn't eat it. I don't know. Well, if you see the cake, it's a decorative one. Also, imagine you're now in the olden times where it's not just cake, it's cake. I don't know what that means. Oh, is that really what they mean? I don't know. Having cake is supposed to mean it, so I think it's supposed to mean you can't eat it twice. Oh, is that what they mean? Is that I think you might be right, Legend Weaver. Having cake and eating it too. So you can't double dip. When you're a mom who cooked it and everyone ate it and forgot about you. That's not what they mean though, right? That's not what the saying would mean. Like, I always felt the saying was more about like almost like a begging chooser type of thing. Like, you're getting something free and you're still complaining about it and you want it your way despite you literally getting everything your way. Wait, was that really 5 minutes? Okay, number one has won. Okay. Yeah, I mean that makes sense. That makes sense because that's what the saying actually means. So that interpretation lines up with how people use it. Because yeah, it seems to be used in like a choosy beggar type of way, right? Oh, you're just saying that's not what it means. It's just an example of when you might have cake and not get to eat it. Gotcha. It's more about trying to have two things that are mutually exclusive. Yeah. Like, yes, actually, I think you're right. Yeah, you are right, Sarah. I explained that very stupidly. Yes, you are right. Sarah explained what actually how people actually use it. Like, you can't want a dog and not pick up their poop. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's true. That is how people actually use. I kind of knew that, like, because I've used it that way, but it was hard for me to think of an example. But yeah, no, that is how people use it. Yeah, or like wanting to grow on social media but not wanting to make posts or do put in the time to do the thing. And so you want all of the like the rewards without putting in the investment. And so it's just like you got to pick. Like do you want to do one like you can't have yeah, you can't have them both ways. You need to like you want both of the upsides. It's like, well, sometimes you don't get both the upsides. Sometimes you get the downside because that's what comes with the territory. Anyway, and unless you're really rich, then there's way around it in almost any downside. True, true. Okay, so yeah, we're painting on number one. Okay, let's save this and then save it again. That's funny. Why is my program saving so fast today? I don't know. Because my time-lapse feature is still on. So it shouldn't be saving so fast, but it is. So I don't know what's happening. I don't think my computer got an upgrade, but it does seem to be doing well. So no complaints. All right, number 1. We are gonna go with that. No, 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 no. Do not turn off the time lapse off and on. That deletes the time lapse. When you turn off the time lapse feature, it undoes it all. So no, you do not turn off the time lapse. And that would make it save faster, actually. Thank you for the follow. All right, this is gonna be some sort of tent or place with lighting and a nice blue sky. Shining down. I mean, they don't have to be tents, but they do feel like tents. But maybe there's a bit more like night market things. It's funny, this is like the second tent painting I've painted recently. Also, these tents feel like they don't have enough room. I don't quite know how I'm gonna do this. You just fought with Windows for an hour yesterday trying to uncouple all of my files from OneDrive that were supposed to be local but were being forced onto the cloud without my permission. Oof, that's annoying. Especially if you have like NDA stuff and you're like, this is not how it should be. That is super annoying. I hate that. I don't know how Microsoft hasn't been sued over this kind of thing. Like, major companies having things leaked because auto uploads and various things. Like, how is this not a thing? Because sometimes they make it really difficult to do that. Actually, I know the answer to why they haven't been sued. Is because they're rich. Anyway, separate topic though. Rant for another day. Okay, what am I doing in this painting? So I'm trying to figure out, what am I doing? I don't know. Trying to make shapes that are interesting, I guess, for the starters. Should probably get some references of tents and figure out where I want the lighting to go. Thankfully, the laptop is brand new, so I didn't have too much copy and transfer in local folders. Well, that's good. It was incredibly difficult to figure out how to 100% decouple everything from OneDrive. It was all happening sneakily in the background. Yeah, it sounds like a pain. Okay, let's find some references. So, I know references is not like it's a topic I talk a bit about, but not that much. So maybe there's somebody who's curious. The way I typically use references, I don't typically start with references. I generally, I mean, sometimes I do. Here's the other tent painting, by the way. But generally what I do is I start out with the thumbnail or some sort of sketch. I figure out what it is I actually want to paint first, and then I find references that is relevant to the subject matter. So it's not so much like, here is how you paint a tent, but it's more like, here's the design of a tent, and then I can incorporate that design into my thing, but I still then have to interpret it in that, like, rotate it and shift the perspective. Like, I'm never going to find a perfect reference, and that's not the goal. The goal is more about design, it's more about function. It's like, how does the thing actually work? You know, how does the top of the tent fit onto the bottom of the tent? You know, how are they built up and constructed? You know, are there flaps? Where are they? You know, that kind of thing. You know, what is the materials like? How shiny is it? That stuff. Oh, by the way, I'm working on a background for work right now. Most of your work is non-background stuff, so we have a few different background stuff, which is fun. Oh, that's cool. I mean, you prefer backgrounds, right? That's kind of neat, though, that you get to work on that. You instantly thought of those Chinese rainbow desert when I saw this one? Oh, interesting. Circus tents. Images. Ooh, here we go. Circus tents with lights. Okay, also lots of... Okay, I don't know. This... No, that's not AI. Interesting. Okay. Actually, I found a good reference. Let me open up PureRef, if I can find it. Where's PureRef? Where have you gone, PureRef? I don't know. There it is. Actually, this might be AI. I don't know. But I like the lighting. And there's some stuff that is kind of cool, I guess. You do prefer backgrounds to Sarah, although these I have to fully illustrate cleanly, which isn't my favorite, but concepting phase was fun. Yeah. That's... I feel that. Yeah, I do too, normally, but I updated it the other day. Hold on, maybe it's on my other monitor. It is. I have an icon for it. Whoops, sorry, my screen went black. I have an icon on my desktop for it, but I updated it the other day, and it, for whatever reason, it like broke the pin, or it changed. I don't know. Something happened. Let's just put it that way. But now, there we go. Oh yeah, that's AI. Gross. Circus tent logic makes no sense here. Random things that just don't work physically. I hate that. Premium photo, and then it's literally just garbage AI. Why? Why are there so many AI circus tents? Stop. Windows is a legit mess. I'm still in awe there's not an applications folder where all applications go. You mean like an applications folder where all the icons for the applications go? Because there's program files, which is technically an applications folder, right? So anything you install, generally the default locations would be like programs. But that's from like times past, kind of, and now that's no longer how people do it. And also, not all programs are things that you would consider like an app. I don't know. I know that that technically it is the same thing. All right. Whatever. This will work. I love that we all have to waste cumulative months of our lives wading through AI garbage. I know. It's just absurd. Sometimes if you search for something and add a date in the description from like 5 years before, it'll filter out. Yeah, there are ways to filter it out. And I need to, you know what I need to do? I need to spend like a few hours just purely doing that over and over until it becomes habit to do that. Because right now, like, I know I can, but I always forget to do it, and then I'm like, it feels like it takes like cognitive bandwidth for me to like actually take the time to sort through that. Whereas I need to just like, maybe there's a plugin where I can just filter, you know. But that's the thing, not all of my searches, especially if it's something like news related, like maybe I just want like the latest, you know, news from like a certain topic, and I don't want to filter out all searches before, 2022 or something. And so, but it is, yeah, it would be good to just like get in the habit of always filtering out anything that's before there for images, at least for any image search. Pre 2022 images. Hey, Shadow, how's it going? Long time no see. It's also a shame, though, to never see any new images photographers take ever. Yeah, that exactly. That is a shame. Or art, for that matter, right? If you're filtering all things on... I mean, I remember, and this is... I don't think I could do it now, but I... So if you were to type in fantasy landscape into Google and hit search, I remember I could scroll, and within, I don't know, 30 seconds, I could find a painting by an artist that I would recognize. And I'd be like, oh, that's an Andreas Roca painting. That's a whoever painting, right? Like, because they were like the most popular in that sort of that term. Nowadays, it's like, you just have to sift through AI garbage because it's such a generic phrase. Fantasy landscape, right? If you type that in, everything's AI. Like, good luck finding any non-AI art. And so, yeah, if somebody else makes some art now, it would just be awful. Yeah, I mean, I don't know how many people would ever search that, but like, nowadays you would never find new artwork through a Google search. But before you could, especially like, I think it'd be more common if you wanted to find like dragons or something, right? Because obviously dragons are all going to be not real because people paint it, they all have to be human made. So if you want to find images of dragons, you run into the same problem, right? Nowadays, we just brought up Sundara Tang, right? Back like 5 years ago, or 3 years ago at this point, I guess, it's only been 3 years. If you were to type in, cute dragon, in the first page or two, you'd see her work for sure. She was like a very popular dragon artist, right? She was very good at art. She was popular, and her stuff would be in the top of the results. Nowadays, if you type in cute dragon, you'll never see a piece of her work, probably. Not in Google search. It's just going to be AI. And that's a shame that you can't find new work that way. Remember when you would search concept art and the internet didn't know what it was? I do. I don't know. I don't. I think by the time I learned about what concept art was, it was already popular. I didn't know about concept art before concept art was cool. I'm not hipster enough for that. But I don't doubt that was a thing. I just typed in cute dragon. Yeah, I mean, I hadn't actually tested it, so I could have been wrong. But yeah, cute dragon for sure would be AI, right? I can't imagine it not. Or really any fantasy creature. I mean, if you typed in like, I bet if you type in like Baba Yaga or something, it would all be AI. I don't know. Anything that's going to be fantasy that has to be made by humans nowadays, all the search results are going to be AI. I would almost bet money on it. Especially if it's cute. But I don't know about... Yeah, it's just... It is depressing. It sucks. That a lot of these artists, like Sandara Tang or Andreas Roca, or, you know, maybe, you know, probably there's probably some very much more popular people um who sort of like when they are what's the word, influential, right, in like an industry, maybe it's vehicle designs, they, when people search for them, they are influencing people because they are making good stuff. Nowadays, I don't feel like you get those sort of strong influences into the general public because the thing that's coming up is no longer like those people. It's like an iteration on an iteration of that, right? Like it's just it's not the authentic thing that's popping up. And so you get all this slop popping up instead of like, you know, the OG designs by by the actual concept artists who are doing good vehicle designs. I don't know. That's kind of another example of the internet is faking human connection. What do you mean by that? I mean, I don't disagree, probably, but here's what you mean. Or even natural connection. Like baby peacock, yeah, if you type in anything baby, yeah, it'll absolutely be. Yeah, you get really wrong baby animal pics that people believe. Yeah, it's so ridiculous. Yeah, baby anything is just gonna be swarmed with AI. Maybe there's some clouds back here. Or some mountains. Maybe mountains that kind of mirror the shape of the tents. That could be kind of fun. Or a sky that mirrors the shape of the... I guess sky is the word I'm looking for. It's going to be sky, not clouds. I mean, there might be clouds back here. Found it funny at Lightbox how many people would mention names I've never heard of because they were names of super famous, influential artists. Meanwhile, all the artists I look up to I found on Twitter, and they are for the most part not nearly as well known. Yeah. You know what's funny? I thought about this the other day. I always remember the names of like the people who I knew back when I started painting. So like, you know, 10, 12 years ago or whatever. Like those are the names that I remember, and I still know them, right? I could rattle off not the popular, you know, he's not like the you know, one of those people who's like, yet people still rattle off names like Craig Mullins or you know, Jamie Jones or they were popular like 15 years ago, and some of them are still popular, right? But it's like, I don't know. I feel like I owe it to myself to their name, right? Because that's how other people, like, that word of mouth is important. And I feel like, I don't know, as somebody who talks, and, you know, whether or not I like the term, I think art communicator, I am that. I am an art communicator. I talk about artists to people while live, and I feel like I should probably be more up to date on current new artists and keep talking about artists that I admire. I feel like it just would be a good thing to do. I was new. Joe, do you want to contribute to my poll and help me decide on a comp for my Streets of Italy piece? Sure. I don't really know what that means, but I would love to contribute by voting, by contributing to the poll. Is that what you're asking? Yeah. Give me a link to the poll and I will vote. Is that what you're, I think that's what you're saying. I don't know what you're asking, but the answer is yes. I will contribute. Gladly. I'm just agreeing to something. I don't know what I'm agreeing to. You know Kat Sai, right? She's pretty big. Her work is amazing. I might know it if I see it. Like you said earlier with like the branding, I might know her profile picture or something. Um But no, I don't. I don't know her by name. Okay, this tent is very tiny. I mean, these are all very tiny tents, but that's okay. Nonsensical it becomes. Like, this tent merges into this shape. It's just like so much nonsense. Now, I'm not claiming that this actually looks like AI, but it does have that like that weird, uncanny, just weird shaped stuff. Okay, let's take a look. Can I show these on screen? As I say, as I drag it over to my screen. Okay. Let me see. I'm not gonna read. I saw you say A is apparently trash. I'm gonna ignore that for a second. Let me. I don't want to be influenced. By poll, I just mean I've been telling people's fave on a sticky note to help me decide. Okay. Let me see. Let me. What is the goal? Let me know. I want to know before I vote. What is the thing? What is the purpose of this? Is it just like an image that depicts the place? Like, is that just the goal? Like illustrating the place to capture a vibe? I guess then I would need to know like what is the vibe, right? This is what goes into my brain when I look at a composition. Like, what is? I mean, let's just go through this, and maybe I'm not going to have an answer, but maybe me talking through will let you understand where I'm coming from, and maybe I don't know. Let's go through it. Okay. Number one feels cozy, and I feel like if you wanted to show like here's a cozy little alleyway, or like here's a little place that is a little more personal. It's where your grandma might live or something. This one, number C, letter C, feels like it's busy. It's top down, much more establishing shot kind of thing. It's lively. No, B feels a little bit more cozy, right? Because it has like water on it, and it's kind of neat. I like that. That gives a different vibe. This one feels like it wants to be a sunset, like overlooking the lake. I would have a hard time just from looking at this. Is this Italy? I would have a hard time recognizing, I think, that D is Italy. I think for me, but it doesn't feel, from my limited view of what Italy is, it doesn't feel Italian. Not as much. I think B feels the most Italian. C probably would feel Italian to people who are Italian. So I'm leaning towards B and C. I think A could also feel Italian, but it has a different feel. I think something like A could actually work really well if you were getting really into like the specificity of stuff and like showing some of the buildings to where people are like, oh, I grew up in Italy and this is how my buildings in my neighborhood look like, right? This gives a certain vibe to it, though. I do like that. I do like B. I don't know. I feel like I'm tempted to say the only one I feel like I would rule out would be D, because it is almost too like picturesque and doesn't feel I don't know, it feels more about everything the landscape than the buildings. And I feel like the buildings of Italy, I don't know, feel like you're gonna make it more. I don't know. When I think of Italy, I don't think of like of nature, right? Not so much. I think of the architecture, the buildings. So I feel like D I would rule out. A could be cool. I don't know. That's my thoughts. I think I think the main thing is like whatever you choose, lean into the direction that like for example, if A was chosen, really getting that specificity of the buildings down. Whereas like number, I keep saying number C. Whereas in C, it feels more about like the liveliness or the vibe of like the colors, and you don't think of nature. I mean, maybe, I don't know. I don't know enough about Italy. D doesn't, to me, D doesn't like, if you were to ask me where these are, and I didn't know that they were all of Italy, I might say Italy for A, B, and C. I don't think I would say Italy for D. I feel like B gives. Also, didn't you say it was called Streets of the World or whatever? B feels very Riverside. I don't know. Yeah, I mean, they do all have a very different vibe, and that's why it's tricky to pick, right? I think as long as you lean into that vibe. I mean, I'll admit, I really like C. I think it just is interesting, and I like the busyness of it. I should look up Nesso. Okay, I'll look up Nesso. Nesso, Italy. Ooh. Oh wait, are these all of Nesso or just B? Ooh, see, I like that. That is neat. I found the exact building that you painted, which is like literally the same. I mean, different view, but same place. Can you guys see that? It's this building with the little arch, the arch here, this arch, the big arch, same little area here. This house is that house. They're all based on this with some liberties taken. I will say this one, C is very cool. I do like C. I don't know. Gosh, I don't know how I can vote. It's just such a hard. It's hard. Because I feel like I need. This is one of those things where more information is better. Like what is, for example, what other locations are you doing, and are you trying to. I guess the questions I would have, right, would be like, are you trying to capture something specific about each place? And what about Italy makes it more different from maybe the other places? And maybe lean more into that, right? For example, like the water type space, right? How it has that water next to it. If most of these places are inland, maybe focusing on the water in that town would be more interesting, right? Like, because they are, maybe it's more iconic or something, but like, I feel like there's a comparison thing. No other locations, it's a single illustration, and only requirement is that it has to be Italy. I don't know. I also feel like I would want to do more research on Italy, because I don't know enough about Italy to figure out, like, what makes Italy Italy kind of thing, and like part of me has a hunch that the more I search in, the more I look into it, the more lots of buildings smashed together of different styles or something, or maybe it's more feels Italian style architecture. But just based on my gut instinct vibes, B probably looks the most Italian, D looks the least Italian, and A and C could totally be Italian. But I don't have a lot of knowledge to make an informed decision. Like, because I think they all look nice. I think purely aesthetics, though, like D is pretty dang, you know, lake in the middle, the things on the sides, framing the water. It's sort of this a classically beautiful scene. And it just like it looks nice, but I don't know if it screams personality, you know. Uh, sorry. After all this, all I've come to the conclusion is that not D. Okay, yeah, I might have to look into it. This might be octopuses or shells or maybe a bowl of salad. That's funny. Yeah, these are tents, not octopuses or salad. Wait, were you talking about Sarah's? Were you saying Sarah's looked like octopuses or salad? No, I don't think so. I think they were with tents. I thought you were talking about mine. Maybe not. Um. No, my now I'm confused. Oh, while my loose sketches and outlines might look like octopuses or seashells or maybe bowls of... Oh, I see. You're saying that mine at least look... Okay, I get what you're saying. That's funny. Yeah. I mean, I think C is probably, when you said narrative or establishing shot, I feel like C looks like sort of that establishing shot where it's like the big vibe. Also, I think visually it's a little more appealing. So if you're trying to do like for a publication, and you want to like blow people away with just the beauty of a thing, there is something about C that I think is really nice. I think if you really nail the lighting and the mood, I actually think A could be good. Because it's kind of shows that a little bit more like intimate view of like, you know, you're walking down an alley and there's something about being able to put yourself in the scene. But like C doesn't have that, right? C is you're floating above it. And so I do have a soft spot for images where you can feel like you're the one walking in the environment with the buildings on either side of you. You're walking down an alley. There is something like that. But yeah, I think C is just visually, it's kind of a spectacle, right? It's sort of like this visual. It's just sort of very awe-inspiring, I think. Um, yeah, I feel like A would be more about the mood and like, can you get the sense that like, you know, you're walking through this old town and there's, you know, the paint on the buildings is chipping and like that kind of vibe, if because that could come through with you know, with A. I feel like C gives me like, if there's lots of colors, I don't know if there are, but if there's lots of colors, that could be a big thing. I don't know. I want to say A or C. B feels a little too like, ah, thank you so much for the sub. I really appreciate it. Thank you very much. That's very generous of you. And oh, Sand Mitch redeemed a 5-minute thumbnail sketch. Perfect, because I have been screwing around and not doing any painting. I will. Okay, I only have an hour left, but we will do it. Let's do a 5-minute sketch. A re-warm up. I've been yapping so much that I've been hardly painting. Let's do open thumbnails. Let's do it here. No, wait, not here. Let's do this. I'm gonna open these, and I'm gonna make a new folder here. These will be for next stream. I painted on the wrong layer on these, so we're just gonna close these out. So next stream's thumbnails will be... This is not the most efficient way of doing it, I realize. Okay. Let's do a 5-minute thumbnail. I almost did Varena on a lake because it's so colorful, but there was something more unassuming underdog about Nessa that really appealed to me. Yeah, I mean, I think the reason I think the water scenes are, I don't know, something about it. Like, it is a beautiful spot, and that place is obviously on the water, so it makes sense. But I don't know. I think I don't know. You know my opinion. A or C, I think is what I would say. And I understand A is probably not visually as appealing, like on first glance, but I think a lot of it's gonna be how you do it. I don't know. That's my vibe. Okay, let me do a 5-minute thumbnail. I am opening up my timer right now. Nope, not that. Hold on. Also, I didn't okay, ignore this. Hold on. This is not start oh, hold on. The sketch exchange is not starting in 50 minutes. We're not doing that today. Also, I didn't ask, but Siniska, hope you're doing well today. And thank you again for the sub. That means a lot. Let me change this thing so it doesn't say paint fast. Oh, that's not. We'll do 4 minutes. There we go. Okay, now I'm gonna start the timer. Perfect. We will start now. It's running. Well, okay. They both have the river. That's fine. It's fine if they have the river, but it didn't feel like it was the main focal point. Okay. Let's do a quick thumbnail. Maybe we'll do blue greens. No, we're not doing another sketch exchange. I mean, we could, but not today. Maybe we get lots of. Maybe we'll do a very low horizon though. Or not very low, just kind of low. Something like that, and maybe these will be a giant. I don't know. Blue, green, yeah, lots of dark blue maybe. More shapes. Maybe something like that. But more arches. I like my arches, like the just big gates and structures that are and maybe this is like a rocky place with lots of rocks. A rocky place with lots of rocks. Great. Amazing commentary by me. Structures that stick up. Oh no, I missed the sketch exchange. It was a while back. We did one a while back. Also, maybe you weren't here. I don't remember. Maybe we do a little bit of warm light. We can always carve out the shapes a little bit later. I don't like that. What if I go very, like, sunset almost vibes? We could try that. Let's try that. Let's do a color dodge. We got a couple minutes left, right? 2 minutes left. Okay, we'll go like that. I like these colors. And then we'll take this yellow green, and we're gonna go on top of here. Your last and first Halloween. Oh, gotcha. Wait, your last and first. You're never gonna do one again, is that what you mean? Or you just mean that was your only one that you've done? The way you said your last and first makes it sound like the first one and the last one I'll ever do was on Halloween. I mean, maybe it's the only one you'll ever do, but... Was that bad? No, I don't think that's what you meant. Okay, so here's something. We get maybe some of this brown come in here. This is some like old structure. Maybe there's some trees up here now. With 27 seconds left. Some trees that stick up. I don't know if I like the shapes on this, but it's kind of fun. Maybe there's some little dark shapes. I'm just going to use some dark, like literal black in here. Maybe, you know what, maybe we'll put some little characters in here. Hold on, I realize the timer is up, but we're going to put some... some little characters. Something like that, maybe. There, that's something. It's looking very gorgeous. Love the lighting. Oh, thanks. Very Nathan Fauch-esque. No, well, that's a compliment. Thanks. I like it. We can save it for next time, though. That'll be in the next thumbnail. Let's close some of these. Okay, yeah, this one is looking not great, but that's okay. The more I look at it, the less I like it. Sometimes it's like that, you know? You know what? Let's slap in some color dodge while we're at it. Maybe little wisps. Just kind of vibes. We're gonna vibe in here. Little mood. Adds little bits of lights and glowy stuff. Maybe there's like a moonlight shining down. I don't know. Just slapping in the color dodge, because why not? Who doesn't like a good color dodge? Literal magic. That's what that is. Weird using like a soft brush like this, but that's, I don't know. I don't mind it. I think one problem with this though is that it's gonna be very messy at the end, but that's okay. I don't mind it still being messy. This is why I like to call these sketches, but I always feel weird because sometimes I spend a while on them. But they're still sketches. Or maybe you were already here, I don't remember. Where like, if you're not careful, it can definitely push your paintings into like samey looking, because it's very, you know, formulaic in a way, and so if you overdo it, you end up losing a lot of those like nuanced colors that you might get if you hand pick colors. And so it is a little, you have to be careful. It can definitely you know, push your painting in a way that is not great. But I think in general, there's some really beautiful and there's some really cool stuff you can do with it that makes it very easy compared to having to paint everything by hand. And it's fun in the experimental stage where you can push colors around in pretty wild ways. I don't know. I like it. I like color dodge a lot. But it's definitely not something you want to get too much in the habit of using, probably. This painting is kind of a mess, but I'm okay with that. Something like that is kind of neat, though. You just prefer overlay? Yeah. I find that they are very similar, aren't they? I think overlay is really good. I find that overlay makes... I mean, they kind of both do, like, everything turns to sunset. Yeah, I think if you want to make things glowing, then overlay is just better, right? But I think you can get, like, those bright whites. I find are much harder to get with overlay, whereas color dodge and glow dodge... Color dodge is... I mean, technically when I say color dodge, I'm talking about glow dodge. But color dodge can get like those bright highlights of like metallic looking things and those really like not burnt, but what's the opposite of burnt? Those, I mean, the very very brightest blowing out the lights kind of thing. That's hard to do with overlay, right? Overlay is great if you want like those saturated colors from like a sunset. It's actually amazing. If you use too much overlay, everything turns to a sunset, right? Whereas color dodge, you can turn it into like a bright, overexposed scene where it's like you can't see because everything's so bright. That's kind of the vibe color dodge gives. So like, for example, if I go to color dodge and I just start picking a random color, like everything can just turn to like white, right? So it's kind of like a different look of like, obviously you would never take it this far, but it's a look of like, oh my god, the sun's in my eyes. Or even with glow dodge, right? It's like just everything can get super saturated and it's like, you know, just too much light. That's not that's not the sunset, right? I'm in Lurk. Sorry for being gone for some time. Can't promise on being that active again, but I won't be gone for... Oh, no, no worries. No worries. You know, Lurk, chat, whatever. Yeah, no worries at all. Thanks for popping in, though, Shadow. I appreciate it. I think sunset is overrated. I love dusk. Yeah. Well, technically, I guess overlay is really good for that, too, right? Because overlay can make things darker. So it's great for, like, evening and night scenes. Twilight? Yeah, I don't know what the difference is. Very white like this with color dodge, which is a little harder to do. So I don't know. It's kind of a, you know, it's something. I actually kind of like the vibe of this. It's extreme. It was open. Oh no, my stream is dying. Am I still here? It says that I'm dropping frames. I don't know if I'm still here. Oh, I still see Sarah's chat though. So now it looks like it's working. I usually just paint my main light sources manually, and then I can adjust the layers or any final enhancements. I mean, that's the way to do it, right? Maybe it's too warm. But yeah, that is the way to do it, is to do it manually. Knowing how to do it manually is nice. The layer modes are nice if you want to... if you want to do some like quick and dirty things. I feel like it's pretty nice. Stream looks fine to me. Okay, well, I was dropping frames like crazy. It does seem to be working again. But glad it seemed to be okay though on your end. Maybe some tree things poking up. We are going wild with the color dodge. Yeah, no, I think adjustment layers are best for that, right? Is the right after the sketch, or right when it's time for the color sketch and you start wanting to just play around with stuff. It's like the experimental phase, you know? It's you're just goofing around, but you're not. I think that's the... You finally solved the lagging issues? Oh, that's good. Do you know what the problem was, or did it just eventually go away because you fiddled with it enough? Okay, let's do this. I'm gonna add some shapes. And then here we can go like this, this. I don't like that. I think this needs to be maybe over here. Maybe the opening can be there or something. Yeah, maybe there. That's where we want it. The opening can be here. And then we can definitely get the bright blue in here. I don't know if that's gonna be the right color, but that's something bright over here. This layer is gonna be very blue. I don't know, maybe light is shining. Also, what's happening over here? I don't know. Maybe we can just bring in blue over here, and it could be like overwhelming. Something like that. I feel like some of these trees or things can be, I don't know. Maybe some of these shapes can be very shapey designed. So maybe we get some stuff like this, just some interesting little tippy tops of the places up here. Just kind of just some fun little shapes, a little bit whimsical. A little bit whimsical. Some of these places sticking up. Little twisty curly Q here. With a little bit of the red in here. And then maybe this one also has a little bit. Sorry, I wasn't reading chat very well. Let's see. What's happening? I still have to manually put it okay, wait, there was a stupid memory leak that apparently triggers sometimes after you use a program with screen sharing, like Slack or Discord. So basically there was this one program called Replay that had been running for months, even though it's supposed to shut off when you're not using the process. So I manually quit that process and it fixed it. Oh, weird. You still have to manually quit it occasionally since the leak still happens. So if you don't quit it, will exponentially eat up more and more CPU. That is so weird. Basically, it took me forever to find the answer because it was looking for in the completely wrong place. I assumed it was Photoshop or OBS issued. We'd never thought it was some completely unrelated process. So wait, is this a thing that you use normally? Why does it only run when you're sharing? I don't understand. That sounds extremely not good. I don't get it. It sounds like a terrible thing. Okay, so my program is still saving. Also, it still says let's go. We're not let's going. We're gonna turn off that because we've been the 5-minute thumbnail has come and gone. What if we go like this? Are these shapes the shapes that you would see underneath the tent? I think so. Kinda? Maybe sorta kinda? Little tent shapes. Little things here. And then maybe there's some, I don't know, I kind of like the trees. This is very similar to that other painting I did. A whole bunch of little tents. They all feel very cramped. Maybe this one has little bits of something here where it kind of goes down. Little bit of what do you call it? I don't know, like fabric folds and stuff. I don't think you would get much fabric fold from here. I don't think that's how that would work at all. Maybe a little bit. Probably not much, though. Not with these tents. I don't think you'd get much fabric fold. Okay, sorry, I was missing chat. I guess it basically took forever to find the answer because it was looking in the wrong spot. I guess it eats up enough CPU, maybe similar hardware space as Photoshop or OBS, not sure. Like, especially if related to the graphics card, I can see why it would only affect OBS Photoshop. Oh, gotcha. That might make sense. Yeah, that's weird. That's annoying though. I'm glad you figured it out. That just sounds like a pain. And it kind of just a headache. Like I mean, I could see it when you were streaming. It was very clearly frustrating, right? Like, granted, that was quite a while ago. Um, but yeah, yeah, that's really good that you figured it out because that looked frustrating. I mean, I know how annoying it is to try and paint while laggy and not being able to do something that you should be able to do because it just turns to crap sucks. Like, that's not a fun thing to have happen. So yeah, that's very good that you got it fixed. Maybe some lights in here. Maybe there's some like lanterns hanging. I don't know. I'm not sure if I'll even like this painting, but it's kind of fun. Fun mood painting with little bits of lanterns and lights hanging around. Maybe the undersides here. This is, I think, where overlay could actually maybe be the solution, because it's very... You can add that warmth underneath here. Those vibrant colors. Your last actually went fine. Solutions verified. Nice. That's good. Makes me happy to hear. Nothing is more frustrating than tech difficulties while streaming. It's like, it's just problems while streaming feel unsolvable because you have to, so often you have to shut down stream to even begin to solve it, and it's just like, yeah, it's just, it's awful. People kept gaslighting you about bomber jackets. Well, okay, now what's the take on bomber jackets? Now I'm curious. Also, why are they called bomber jackets? I actually don't know. Trying to do like little loop-de-loops or something in here. I feel like there's a hot take about bomber jackets somewhere in here. I don't know if I like these shapes, but it's kind of fun. That's how it started. You were wondering why they called it? Gotcha. Because they'd a bomb? Maybe. Let's go. What does Google say? I wonder. I bet AI has the answer. Why aren't they called bomber jackets? Historical association with military aviation. At least according to AI, which I don't trust at all, because anytime I know anything about the topic, I realize how wrong it is. Initially known as flight jackets. Okay, that would make sense. They were designed for pilots during World War I and were provided warmth in uninsulated cockpits. The term bomber specifically refers to jackets worn by bomber crews, as these jackets were tailored to withstand harsh conditions faced during it. I don't know if that's true, but it sounds believable. And granted, given that I'm probably never going to repeat that information, Someone said bomber planes were named after the jackets. No way. That isn't. I mean, it's possible, but let's be real. I'm pretty sure bombs existed before the jackets, and planes were obviously named bombers because they can drop bombs, not because their pilots wore bomber jackets. That's actually hilarious. They were teasing you. They didn't actually say that. I think that's actually hilarious. I feel like this is so there's a genre, I don't know what you call it, like fill in the gap history kind of, where like you take I don't know what you call it, but I know Doctor Who did this a lot, where they would take like a missing person case or some unsolved thing that happened in like a famous person's lifetime, where like maybe they went missing for a week or something, and they said they went somewhere but there was no evidence they actually did, and so like there's this gap of time that's unexplained and we don't have good records of it. And so what they'll do is they'll in sci-fi they will insert some fantastical story of like they were whisked away in like Alice in Wonderland style, or like something, some they'll make up some fantasy or sci-fi explanation for like what happened during that time, and it's always like fun. This person was a werewolf, which is why they disappeared for random nights during the full moons or whatever, right? Like stuff like that. Anyway, I love that kind of story. I feel like that, where you take like a thing and like you rewrite history kind of to be like, I don't know, I feel like there's that kind of way of telling the story. Like it wasn't actually that they were actually designed after the jackets, not the other way around. It's sort of like a rewriting of history, but in a silly way, that could spark some sort of fun storytelling. I don't know. I like that stuff. It's not quite the same, but it makes me think of that sort of history revisionist, but with a fun twist. I don't know why these things are all just popping out of nowhere. I don't know what's going on here. We're just going whack. We're going to go wacky with the shapes here. Trying to get it whimsical. Whimsical. Full of whim and sickles. This is like haunted carnival vibes. Joe supports misinformation confirmed. Yeah, totally. No, I think it's fun. I think it's fun in like some of my favorite so in Doctor Who, there's two episodes in particular. There's one with Marie Antoinette where they do like a telling of some childhood or something, with like her encounter with obviously Doctor Who, so the time traveler, and her encounter with like monsters under the bed kind of thing, and actually like these alien robot. Anyway, it's sort of fun. And then they also have then they also have one with what's her name? Some lady who I think she went missing, but they told it that she was actually a werewolf or something, or maybe she was eaten by a werewolf. I don't remember. But anyway, basically taking these historical characters and writing sci-fi around them. It's pretty cool. I've always enjoyed those. You make a good point. Why isn't the word whimsical? Whimsical? Whimsical. Full of whim. I don't know. Whimsical. It should be. How whimsical. Maybe that's what people used to say, but somebody misheard them. Okay, I don't like this foreground element though. That is ugly. Let's erase it. Oh, that's ugly too. I don't know. I don't think it needs it. It doesn't need that foreground stuff. Full of whimsy. Yes, whimsical. I'm gonna start using that word, and then people will think I'm crazy because I'm using the wrong words, and they'll get all confused. But that's okay. Full of whim. Could you? What if you lacked whim? Could you be whims of lacking, whims of empty? I'm trying to think of what would that word be? Something that has no whimsy. What is the word that means unwhimsied? Bland, I guess it's bland, but surely there's a word specifically to mean does not have whimsy. The least whimsical word. What is that? Here, let's ask Google. We ask Chat. What's the opposite of whimsical? Boring. Common. No. If you say something's boring, it doesn't imply that it. I mean, that's just like bland. But spicy could be. Bland could be the opposite of spicy too. And whimsy is a very specific thing, though. Humorless. Maybe humorless. Uneventful. No nonsense. Maybe no nonsense is the word. Basic. Because no nonsense implies that the opposite is sort of full of nonsense, right? It's totally out there. So I feel like no nonsense works. Prosaic. I mean, calling someone basic basically means they have zero whimsy. Yeah, but there's other things though. Whimsy isn't the only thing that makes something not basic, right? There's lots of ways to be non-basic, and whimsy is one of them, right? That's my issue with some of those words, is that they don't all... The opposite of basic doesn't mean that you have whimsy. It could be that you're just very complicated and you have lots of issues, right? Welcome in, Fox! Welcome, Raiders. Thank you so much for the raid, Fox. How are you and how is your stream? Hope your stream was good, Fox. For people just coming in, hello, my name is Joe. I am painting Whimsy. No, we are painting a bunch of tents. Just having fun, just going with the flow. Nothing really fancy here. I'm about ready to end stream, though. But yeah, so you're kind of catching me at the end, but I hope you're doing well. How are you, Fox? One way to be non-basic is to have low pH. I always forget if it's high pH or low pH, because like I know they're kind of... Yeah, it's always... I always remember... No, yeah. I just remember that it's the opposite. Like, whatever sounds right is wrong. Anyway. How am I? I am good. I am doing well. Today's a pretty nice day. I'm a little hot. My stream tried to sputter on me and drop frames, but hopefully it's going good now. But yeah. Practicing, yes, I always, art, yes, art tax, share your art. Practicing a lot lately, nice. I'm always curious, when you say practicing, do you mean like studies, or do you just mean painting a lot? Or something else? I'm just drawing little shapes here. Not for really any real reason, but just... I don't actually know why. Drawing little shapes. I think the reason I'm doing it is because I just want something that I can put in perspective and, I don't know, just some fun shapes. Also, why don't these shapes have the white over here? I always study and apply it to the practice. That's a good way to do it. Hey, Kath, how's it going? How do you do? Okay, let's take a look at Fox's work. Fox's work. Ooh, okay. Yeah, no, I agree, Fox. I think that's the best way to do it, is when you do a study, you just try to apply it to your work so that you're actually applying what you're doing. Ooh, look at this. Look at the dude. The dude. I like that hat. Look at that hat. Oh, sorry, you can't see. Look at that hat. Is this what you were doing today? That's fun. I also like the black and white breakdown of this. That looks good. Very cool. I like the helmet design breakdowns and stuff. Very cool. Cool designs of the hats. I like that. But yeah, thank you so much for the raid, Fox. I really appreciate it. You're doing well, thank you. Oh, I'm glad to hear. Glad you're doing well. What are you up to today, Kath? Also, I am about ready to leave. I need to end stream fairly soon. I am going to my niece's, not my niece, my nephew's birthday party. Probably will eat some cake. So that's fun. Cake is always good. We're gonna draw some whimsy. I was like saying the word whimsy. Just drawing some random shapes and calling it whimsy. That's how you know it's whimsy. There's just spirals everywhere. That's what whimsy means. Oh well. Dargus, hello! How are you? Hope you're doing well. Studying and thinking about potential vacations in the future where you may or may not be involved. Are you allowed to do that? Plan vacations for people? I Vacations are fun. Do we have time for connections? I actually think I already did today's connections. Let me double check. I may have failed it, actually. I don't remember. If I didn't do it, it'll tell me. This may spoil it. Let's see. Oh, no, I haven't. I haven't done it. Okay, train. Yeah, we can do connections. Okay, so the way connections work is you have to find 4 groups of 4 words, and each of the groups has a connection. So like it could be train wreck, or you could have something else, right? Or a train could be a group of things connected. Anyway, it could also be a thing with steam. It could be a thing that has tracks. Uh, it could also be you could practice, so you could train. You could. I'm looking through these words. Anyway, you get the point, but there aren't any other synonyms for train. Okay. I see backside and caboose. A seat could be your butt, your bum. A hubbub. A racket, backpack, bustle, bat, tail. That's a category right there. Words to mean your butt. Okay, there we go. Bustle, hubbub, cookbook, cook, hub, bub, book, mallet. Hold on. We can plan vacations if you want to show up or not is on you. Fair point. Nitwit. Uh, of the things like wit or bub or. Mallet is a mall. Hubbub is a hub. I don't know. Okay, let's just submit this one. I'm pretty sure that's the yellow. Okay, there we go. Veil. Stick. Racket. Oh, mallet. Racket, mallet, stick, and bat. That's gotta be one. Bouquet. Bouquet. Nitwit and bustle and train. Train. Things you carry stuff in. You have bustle, hustle, and bustle. Cookbook. Train. Hub. Something about these. I feel like a bus, hub, train. I don't know. Nitwit. Is it bustle? I mean, maybe? I mean, a bust is a thing, right? So it could be part of a dress, so maybe a veil, a bouquet. But no, I think they're back in a backpack. No, I feel like they're gonna be things like things that open or things that have components. So like a bouquet has many components of like it's a multiples of things combined. So like trains or cars combined, cookbooks or recipes combined, bouquets or flowers combined, and backpacks. That doesn't work. What's a hubbub? Well, like a hubbub is like the fuss, right? Like a bustle, the hubbub. Yeah, bustle has to go with hubbub. Yeah, hubbub, nitwit, backpack, and cookbook. I mean, they are compound words, but that doesn't sound right, does it? What do they mean? What's the connection? I mean, hubbub and bustle is like the goings on. What's all the hubbub about? What's all the bustle about? What's the cookbook? The train? Train could go with it. Bus, train, hub. Hubbub. Bustle. Train. They do kind of rhyme. I feel like these go together. These are all like knit, a bouquet, a cookbook, a backpack. Okay, let's try all the compound words. Nitwit, hubbub. Okay, so you said hubbub, nitwit, backpack, cookbook. Hubbub, nitwit, cook. Okay, I don't think that's right. Oh, it is! Rhyming compound word. Really? That's an awful category. All right, you got it. I backpack, cookbook, hubbub, nitwit. Yeah, they do. That's true. They do rhyme. There you go. Okay. So what is this? Bustle, train, veil, bouquet. I mean, bustle. According to Sarah, that would work, right? With their wedding things in a bright. Is that what you call it? A bustle? I didn't know that. I knew that veil and bouquet was wedding stuff. I didn't know bustle and train was. A train is also a veil. Oh, I didn't know that. And then train veil, I didn't know that. I had no idea on bustle and train. Man, that would have just been a guess for me. I would have just guessed and I probably would have gotten it wrong. Bustle and train, I didn't know. And then this category just felt, I mean, they kind of felt right because they were all the only compound words. Whereas like backside, we had already gotten rid of it. Anyway, that was a tough one. Or for me. You guys seem to have no problem with it. After you saw train. See, I didn't know train was a wedding term. If I knew that, it would have been like, yeah. All right. Well, maybe I'll do better next time. But anyway, I think I'm gonna end there. I never heard of a bustle, but it sounded like something that could be a wedding thing. It does kind of sound like it could be a wedding thing, doesn't it? It has that. Yeah, it kind of definitely a little bit. It's the long part. I mean, that makes sense that that would be called a train. Like words that otherwise you'd have normal words that would mean those things, but then they're specific to weddings. I don't know. Okay. Let's do let's call this finished today. This is fun. It's just kind of a silly little painting. It kind of goes along with this one. Oops. Oop, I'm lagging. But yeah. A wedding bustle is a technique used to lift the train of your wedding dress off the ground and secure it so you don't trip or drag during the reception. It's essentially a collection of hooks, ties, and buttons that gather the train at the back of the dress. I like how in the definition of a bustle, they talk about the train. I don't know why they made dresses so long in the first place. They caused the problem, which then they had to invent a new solution to. Instead of doing the obvious thing and just not having the problem in the first place, it's like we really insist on having these ludicrously long systems to make sure that people aren't tripping. It just feels like a convoluted way of solving that problem. But, what do I know? What do I know? All right. Because it looks pretty? Fair enough. Fair enough. That's fine. Not everything needs. Is it tedious? I don't know if that's a fair analogy. I don't know about that one. I start with color. I don't add color. It is color. There is no non-colored version. I mean, sometimes there is, but just design it the length it needs to be to look the way you want. True. Yeah, there's a lot of nice looking short dresses too that are. It's funny to design it long and then make it short. Yeah, because the bustle is making it shorter, or it's making it more manageable, I guess. Anyway, let's raid somebody. Let's go and raid. Raid. See who's here. The raid train. Speaking of trains, we just got raided, and now we will. Whoa, Chakuri's online. Wait, did we just raid Chakuri? No, I don't think so. We're gonna go to Chakuri. With a bustle, we can have the best of both worlds. I guess. I will never wear a wedding dress, probably, so I will... Trains. Your trains and your bustles. All right, let's go. Let's go say hi to Chakuri. Yeah, I don't know anything about fashion or dresses. Least of all dress fashion. Okay, thanks for being here, everybody. I appreciate you. If you're on YouTube, I stream, or even if you're not, I stream 3 days a week: Mondays, Thursdays, and Saturdays. See you on Saturday.